What's that, a mochaccino or something?
Yeah, mocha. Yeah, because I don't want to, presume that everyone drinks black coffee. When you get it right in the middle,
that's the one thing.
You're right, because I always have that dilemma, like, what coffee should I
Yeah.
can't go wrong with mocha.
Yeah. Because if you get someone who goes, so you think I'm that kind of person.
Yeah. What's funny is I had a mocha today. I don't normally have a mocha, right? This morning I had a meeting out here in Glen Eden. And he brought me a mocha as well. I was like, okay.
Must be a Westie thing.
Yeah, it must be a Westie thing, bro.
We just assume that we can break bread over coffee.
Yeah, man.
There's a common ground we can meet upon. Yeah.
So thanks for coming on our podcast, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us come through, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the weather, but
well, I didn't think you could really apologise for that unless you're the big man upstairs there.
no, because I was thinking, because we were talking before, like, because I didn't know they were coming all the way from Mount Windsor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because in my head I was thinking Avondale.
Avondale, yeah.
From the east side, eh?
Yeah.
So you've always been out there? You're born and bred out there?
No. I'm born and bred out here, out in Avondale. Married Clera, who was from Mount Wellington. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
how close are you to All Right Street? Do you know where that is?
Oh man, that's pretty close.
Oh, okay.
Around the
I
corner.
know a lot of boys that went to varsity with. They were big Mount Wellington guys. I don't know if you know Sarah Tunaway.
Yeah, I know the Tunaway brothers.
Yeah. And Rubina and I and my other mate Tevira Malolo.
Yeah.
I just remember because man, we're from All Right.
Yeah.
Places good. I've never placed like that, you know. I didn't see it until I saw Disney's church there. Yeah, the man knows where to go, eh?
That was our church.
No, we went there as well.
Yeah.
But they moved out to South Auckland, so we stopped going when they moved out south.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous out south. No. Yeah, I know Bina really well.
Yeah.
We kind of had our tatau journey around the same time, so that's how I know him and his brother. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah. It's really cool what he's doing. We had a few guests come on. We talked about how they do those on classes.
Yeah.
And I went to so they had a pilot class, and I went to one of the first ones. But just like my school days, I'm good for the first couple of lessons, and then you're gonna check the attendance. I'm not gonna come back to any of these classes. But my other brothers they stayed on, so they saw it through to the journey.
Oh, cool.
And they went to Malaiola for the when they come out and they do all the laungas and that. And what was really encouraging is how people Kupulanga now are really embracing that side of Samoa.
Yeah,
because I remember, back in the days when you go to Boss Heavers and that, and you only go play hard or go, hang out with the cousins and that. But I wish back then we realised how important it was. Yeah.
That's right.
I think the landscape's changing as well, with us, Samoans in terms of, those born here. And because we were born in Samoa, we came and we lost the language. And so over the years, for us, it's been like, I wish we didn't lose the language as much.
Yeah.
I mean, we can still communicate, but not as well as we would have liked to. But definitely the landscape's changing with the younger generation coming up. They're actually embracing it a lot more than what we did.
I've noticed that too, and I know we talk about how back to stuff like the festivals back in the days, because then like I was saying, like back in the days we just used to go, it was kind of like hang out and go see everyone from the other schools, and Cameron would wear his tight t-shirts, and fresh fade they would got the day before. But I've noticed now that the tutors, because I know personally because my cousin, he's tutored a few schools now. It's not back in the days. It used to be the old men from Samoa, so we always had the old water kind of booze. And then when school, you're kind of ma doing the moves and that.
Yeah.
But then I think there came a time when like De La Salle and all those guys, they kind of changed the whole.
They made it really cool.
That's right. Yeah.
And you so wanted to be a part of it, because they just looked really cool.
They integrated all the new moves and that, and I've noticed all the tutors now, they're mostly New Zealand born. And what they've done is they've taken the best of the traditional Samoa stuff and then added like contemporary stuff. Eh?
That's definitely that's sort of our generation now. They're taking over the teachings of it.
That's right.
It's probably because there wasn't anything for us back then. Much. We had to do it by ourselves and that.
Yeah. That's right.
And now
I think the landscape is changing that way because there's a real push now to, to grow the language, to learn your language, and to keep. It's about sustaining your culture and sustaining your language. Because if we don't, push that, we're eventually going to lose it altogether.
Well, that idea has come into mainstream society now.
With absolutely. And they're really pushing it through schools and young people programs and things like that. I know in our schools we're really pushing language and culture and also you don't want to lose the because there's so many rich things about our culture that we're losing in terms of our values and the relationships between our young people and the parents and grandparents. Like, man, kids these days, like, I couldn't imagine behaving like that, to my parents when we were growing up. But man, so many kids are, there's, especially with anti-smacking laws and that kind of stuff coming in place. So it's really different now. That value system is certainly fading. And so it's really nice that we're actually trying to sustain the language and the culture because then we can revive it as such. But, it's not about... It's not about that.
No, it's funny you say that because I'm still not used to the 1, 2, 3 countdown. Stand by the corner and count to 10.
Well,
time out.
Those things, those Balangi's do.
The other thing though was because back in the days it wasn't really pushed for us to speak Samoan at school. So we used to go to school and you'd speak because we just so used to speaking Balangi and that. But now I wear it like a badge of honour. Like I can actually communicate to another Samoan, who comes and asks me, something in Samoan, and I'm like, I can answer her back. It might be, broken Samoan, but it'll be decent. I realised back in the days when our parents used to say, when you come home, speak Samoan. When you go to school, speak as much Balangi as you want, but come back. And now that it's cool that the schools are integrating the language in as well, and they're pushing it too. It's cool because it felt like towards the late 90s and that, early 2000s, like we were kind of in limbo where Samoans stood within the system.
Yeah, I think it was really hard for us, because, we were the ones, I think we were in between assimilation and... accepting your culture and your language as such. Growing up in schools, I think if you didn't speak English well, then you weren't on the probably the more clever side of things.
Or it was assumed you were.
Yeah, exactly. And so you kind of tried really hard to speak English because otherwise you didn't want to be seen as looking, less than those that spoke well. Yeah. But then, so I think that was the challenge that we faced growing up in our time. But now, like I said, it's changing. Like the kids, like I know in our school, what we push with our kids is, English is our second language. If you speak a language, then embrace that. Because studies say that if you can speak 2 languages, you're clever to be able to straddle, to straddle that. And so I really push with my students that don't be afraid to push your first language, and don't ever think that you're anything less because you cannot command the English language, because that's not your language. You just make sure that you can communicate, great. But if you can't, to as full as the next person, then don't worry about it. You're cool. You can speak 2 languages, man. You're clever as. So it's really good to be able to push that.
I'm sorry, are you a bilingual teacher at the school?
No, well, I head the senior school for Sir Michael Jones, his Pacifica school. Oh, cool. So it's the first Pacifica school in the world, and everything that's taught there is Pacifica, more Pacifica. So everything from language, culture, values, and it all birthed from Michael's mum. Michael Jones's mum, where she was in education as well, but she always felt inadequate in the school system. You know, that it was really unfair that teachers that weren't Pasifika would teach Pasifika students and didn't understand our Pasifika students, and she really didn't like that disconnection and felt that we were, there was a disadvantage to us learners because there were those at, teaching level that didn't understand the kids. So she always had the dream to open her own Pacific school. And of course, Michael, being young, would know of his mother's dream. And her and Queen Salote, I think it was their in their discourse and in their dreams, talking whilst Michael was listening. When she passed away, and obviously Michael grew up, he made it happen. So he's opened Pacific Advanced Secondary School in Otahu. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of this school. And I only say that because I feel my head's been buried in the sand, or because this is an amazing thing. As a Samoan, as a Pacific Island man. Well, that's what I do. I don't want to start on that. Anyway, I never knew this place existed. Tips?
No, I didn't know either. And it's funny, when you were talking, I was thinking, man, what a cool primary school. When you said secondary school, I was like, what? Secondary? Oh, yeah, that's next level.
I'm only making it clear because this is amazing, and I didn't see it out there. And I'm usually on Facebook, if I'm not playing Bubble or whatever the game is. I've never heard of this school.
Oh my gosh.
Was it in the
hopefully Michael Jones is listening. He needs to build needs to build on our West, eh?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I just wish it had a bit more of a profile, because probably people.
Well, you're right, because like we live. My mum lives in Mount Wellington, and I've lived there 30 odd years. And the school has been, but I taught at Avondale College, and we've spent a lot of our time here out west. And then Dad passed away, Mum was by herself, so we made the decision to go back to Mount Wellington just to look after Mum, whilst the rest of the family and the kids were still here going to Avondale College. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to commute, from Avondale to Mount Wellington. So I said to hubby, we'll go there for a couple of years and we'll just, make sure Mum's okay and sort out house and business and stuff. And so I thought, well, I might as well look for a job out those ways. And so I was applying all over the place, and this job came up for Pacific Advanced. Never heard of the school, but I've lived all my life around that area. Yeah. And never heard of the school. And then I was like, oh man, this is like the school that's called, it's like a Pacific college. Never heard of it. And there's this Vietnamese restaurant, next door, and we go there all the time.
Oh, okay.
And even in our times at the restaurant, we never really saw the school because it's like a massive office space.
Yeah.
And so I applied to the job, and they obviously gave me the job. I was really intrigued by it when I walked in. It's just a beautiful building filled with, you just feel like you're at home because it's everything Pasifika. And of course, who doesn't want to work for Michael Jones? Man, he's an icon, you know. And so it's been around this is its fifth year in operation, I think. And they started as a chartered school, but they have recently come under the ministry. So they're actually a partnership school now. Like every other college, a normal college paid by the ministry, all the teachers are, and we follow the curriculum, but we follow the curriculum in terms of NCA and that kind of stuff, but we access the culture and the language to achieve the curriculum. So everything's done in Samoan, Tongan, Yuan, you name it, it's just all Pasifika.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you seen, I know this is a pretty broad question, but are these kids achieving more now that can you see a change in them with the Pasifika base and them being around?
Yeah. So initially, I think for the first couple of years, Michael, the kids that came there were obviously, people that Michael knew. We call him Uncle Michael, because everyone calls each other. The teachers are not sir or miss. We're all aunties and uncles, because it's got a rural village base, model. So everyone's auntie and uncle, and Michael is Uncle Michael. And so all the kids that went there were kids that he knew, college kids. And then after a while, it was known as the hard nut school, like if other schools didn't want you, you'd go to PASS kind of thing. But what actually happened is all those Ulawale kids came to PASS and had this huge change around in terms of attitude and behaviour, and they started leaving with NCA levels 1, 2, 3. There's so many of them now that have gone on to further education, so they're all at university level. And they're coming back and teaching the younger siblings, or as because it is a village setting. So you're right. It certainly does change them, because they see people that look like them, that behave like them, that is quite similar to their home life and their way of connecting, and they just it feels like home. So it's really cool. They're doing really well, those kids. Last year, we had a 98% pass rate in our year 11s for NCA level 1. Level 2, all of them passed to year 13. And then we, out of the year 13s, we had 65% achieve university entrance. Yeah, so it's doing really well.
Are the students eligible through zoning, like the rest of the schools, or?
No, it's anywhere.
Anywhere. Okay.
So it's not in zone. Anyone. We've got a few students out west that come through.
They're making so much of an impact that parents are actually pulling their kids out of these schools, these state schools, some pretty high schools as well.
Yeah,
and
mainstream
bringing
schools.
them to PASS from outside of South Auckland. That's incredible. There was that couple that we know that live out these ways, Henderson.
Yeah. So they're pulling their kids out only because they want their kids to engage in the language and the culture, and they just feel that mainstream schools don't really cater for that.
Yeah.
And so, at school, school starts at 8 o'clock. So when the kids come up to the gate, they're greeted by auntie and uncle. We eat together, we have breakfast together, we have lunch together. And then we have training sessions Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And it's all about, looking after the body, the mind and the spirit. And it's really good because, you've got all these young ones training, and it's about, whakekele, hey, don't eat too much, look after your body, because your body carries a healthy mind. And so, it's really good. And then we start off lotu, praise and worship in the mornings.
Wow. Finish
school with church. Start with local, end with local. And so it's really impactful. Like for me, I've been in education all my life, but this, in such a short time, I've been there, 2.5 years? In such a short time, it's probably one of the better schools that I've ever been in, in terms of effectiveness for our Pasifika kids.
With this model, do you see that, is there a chance, because how far could you expand it, like this school? Because there comes a point where there's a breaking point where you might have too many students and you won't be able. Because I think what sounds like the benefit of this is that you're able to concentrate on groups of kids.
Yeah, you're so right. Because I think about that all the time, because it's working right now.
Yeah, that's what
it's working because it's the numbers are smaller, but at the moment, because the ministry have given us a building, we occupy 2 buildings now. We occupy 2 buildings, and the ministry won't give us any more space anytime soon. But we've got this huge waiting list now of kids, and so. Will it change when the school becomes bigger?
Expands,
Yeah, I would say it would. But let's hope it doesn't lose its authenticity in terms of,
Because that's what I'll be worried about, because it just sounds like it's such a great model.
Yeah.
But the problem with models like that if you expand it too much and you bring it too much.
Too many hands, too many ideas, too many. So at this stage it works, the vision's great because, it's smaller numbers. But I think, if anything, because it really has the God factor behind it, we truly believe that that's the success in it, is that you know.
Amen.
Yeah. God's got his hands on it. So regardless of whether it's small, big, you know, whatever, I think, you know, Auntie Maina was onto a good thing when this is Michael's mum, when she had the vision initially. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to change that much.
Plug-in for pass.
Yeah, I reckon
It's a mean plug-in for pass, eh?
Well, we've never heard of it, and just to see it just changing lives and just how impactful it is, that's amazing. And it's from another Westie as well, you know.
True.
The influence that his mother had out these ways, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, all those, you know,
That's right.
Pastor Derek out there as well. So it's
right.
pretty, it's cool that this idea's come to fruition, because, you know, if it was left, I don't want to be sad, but we left it to the ministry, they'd still be, you know, they would have got a commission. They would have paid them $2 million to tell them what Maina and Michael Jones would have already known, you know.
And it's great because you've got Pasifika at the head, you know, rather than at the working ground, you know, because there's one thing having a vision, but if you've got a vision led by, you know, others that aren't Pasifika, then that vision is, you know, tainted in one way or another. But the fact that you've got, you know, Uncle Michael, who actually is the visionary and leads it right from the start, from the headship, I think that's probably where it really works well.
Has Michael Jones got a trophy, a statue like the one outside Eden Park?
I know.
In front of the school? You tell me should have a mini one out there.
He doesn't. But once he turned up with a busload of a French team rugby player, the whole bus turned up to pass. And he wanted them to come and check out the kids, and he wanted the kids to check out the, you know, the French players. I was like, and that's what he does. He just turns up out of nowhere and.
Didn't he launch the Pacific team there? Didn't he,
he launched that Pacific team there.
They all went to the school, and kids loved it, eh?
And the kids, he always uses the kids to, you know, to showcase or to intro or to. Yeah, he loves the school.
Well, the cool thing about him launching the Moana Pacifica team now is that it shows these kids that we can do this.
Yeah,
because all the, you know, last year, because one of our good friends, Kevin Sengio, he was with Michael Jones when they were proposing that team, and like behind the scenes was just telling us, you know, there's a lot of, you know, people that stonewall them. But for them to get it through and finding out last week that they're going to be in the Super Rugby comp.
I know.
That's crazy.
That is so cool.
You know, that's amazing, because it shows once again there's islanders at the top. You know, and like you said, if it's not coming from if you've got someone not of Pacific descent at the top, it's going to distort the vision at the bottom.
No,
you know
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's one thing trying to push Pacifica, but if you're not Pacifica, actually, you don't really catch it in the spirit or the heart of it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to kind of see it right through to the end. But I always said to him, he's probably, you know, one of the better bosses that I've ever worked for. He's just awesome.
And part of what speaks to what we're talking about is how we said about Pacifica being evolving in this country. Like we actually got people on the table. Making
that's
decisions.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, whether it be through sport or through education now.
Yeah.
And with you guys, music, you know?
Yeah. Well,
I think it's good signs for the future.
That's right. So true, man.
We have another podcast. It's called Politic. And one of those sorts, Tana Valeni, he runs it. But it was the focus. The vision from Cams and Tana was to showcase to and Joe Ngangai was to showcase to our people and to the youth that we have, you know, we're not only just good at sports. You know, we're not just good at, you know, being policemen or, you know, more physical stuff. We've got people in the IT, you know, in IT and technology, and we had Govia Vailua, and he is making strides, you know, in that side of the thing. And it was kind of like us saying that, because, you know, a lot of the podcasts that we have, it's based on stuff that we love. So it's movies, meeting amazing people like you, but it's also us trying to put out other topics, like, you know, besides music. We wanted it to start with the politic talk, You know, we wanted people to know that hey man, we're not just at the table now. We're talking now. You know, we've got, you know, we're making strides.
Nice.
So that was the cool thing about, you know, starting something like this. You know, Cam's vision. So yeah,
Awesome.
Cool. That's really cool.
Is Torvia back in the country?
Yeah, he's back.
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
I went to school with him.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Avondale College boys, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But he was over in, I can't remember, it was Asia or for a while, eh?
Yeah.
Philippines.
Philippines,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But then he just went off Facebook. I don't know if he deactivated his page or so I couldn't keep up with his
Yeah.
or where he was, yeah.
I think he's only on Instagram now. He said.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the same age as his brother, Ivala. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I knew his younger brother from the baseball days. He used to, bounce down there.
Oh,
I knew because I was only walking past the guy up to varsity.
Yeah, of course.
So, what is this place down here? When you heard so many stories about it, but
Yeah, me too,
Yeah.
bro, me too.
but no, it was, you know, like Corvia's a success story. You know, he's a guy who came from Avondale College,
Yeah.
and then went to varsity. My brother was at varsity with him. That's how I knew him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And to see him making strides into something that you don't, you know, you talk about IT, you talk about Microsoft, places like that. You don't,
Especially at that was.
you don't think it's someone guy.
Yeah,
Especially a well-dressed guy who wears.
Yeah.
I was telling these guys, I made this joke about him, like, he's the first Samoan I ever saw had leather gloves. And I was like, you know,
I think he was the
French.
first.
Is it quite French
I
or?
think he was the first Samoan I saw at school of Doc Martens, mate.
See,
I'm like,
that's it. That guy's a trendsetter, man. I'm telling you, that guy is. He's a very well-dressed man.
Yeah, he
so,
is, man. Just,
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I'll have to look him up on Insta. Yeah.
Well, so music.
Yeah.
That was a pretty long intro.
It was an intro, man. Just,
Sorry.
No, that's what we always.
That's how we roll like that.
Because we find something we love, man. Like, what?
That's
Yeah.
it, eh?
But yeah, so Dunamis.
Yeah, Dunamis.
Yeah. See, that's why I want to get right, because like I was saying,
Yeah.
because, you know, the first time I heard it through, you know, you go to churches and you hear people say it.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, oh, yep, amen. Oh, wait, what is Dunamis? You know, that's real talk. I'm telling you the
Yeah,
truth.
that's it.
And then when I saw Dunamis Louis play for, Dunamis Louis, who did he play for before? No, he's at Canberra Raiders now, because I only know that because he plays with my cousin.
Oh.
And I thought, man, Dunamis, what is? I know there's a biblical
Yeah.
sense, or there's a biblical meaning to that. What is? So what does Dunamis mean?
So Dunamis is, or Dunamis is Greek.
So now I understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to ring Ray Warren and Craig Alexander and say it's Dunamis.
I actually like both, eh? I don't mind. I've heard Dunamis, and what's the other one? Some lady pronounced it. I didn't like that one.
Dunamis.
Something like that. Eh? And I was like, no.
That sounds like a tag.
Yeah. But it's actually Greek. It's a Greek word for God's power. Yeah. And it's actually a really powerful word because, well, it is a powerful word. That's what it means, God's power. But that's where that word dynamite derives from. Dynamic. Explosive, all the big stuff, power, you know. And I still, my wife would probably be able to remind me how I came up with the name, but
I think we heard it in a sermon once. I think that's when we first caught of it. But then,
fell in love with it. Eh?
Yeah, he's always kind of had the name. He wanted to he wanted to get a number plate. Even way before the music started.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think so. But
it's actually a really good name for conversation openers.
Hard, because they always ask about the name.
Always ask, what does Dunamis mean? Oh, well, thanks for asking. And then I just tell them, hey, good opportunity to witness too, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much where it comes from. Like I said, it's really powerful and.
And I think when you were talking about it, with the kids' music, like we had to name them something because, there were so many of them. We had to kind of find some kind of umbrella name.
I didn't want to come out too religious because, it's a mainstream sort of music and I don't want people to go, oh, there's Christianese. I don't want to be labelled that way. So what? Go to the Greek. No one understands it. And it's been pretty good. It's growing out there, yeah.
And so I think when we talked about visions, you know, for the group, we thought, you know, how cool is it to have the power of God just overshadow everything that we do, you know, in terms of, you know, just the power to create and the power to make music, and the power to empower, you know, and that's how we thought of the name, you know, for our kids. And, you know, our kids aren't, they're all going through their own journeys in terms of, you know, where they are with God, and they're not necessarily, you know, perfect Christians as such. But I think for mum and dad, it's like, you know, we're here constantly covering, you know, and just making sure that they're safe and they're protected, you know, under God's grace while they journey their way through life. And so I think that's where the discussion for us came from with but this is the name maker. He chooses all the names for the kids whenever it comes to names. Yeah.
So so how did the music thing start? Like, who's the musical one at the YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, it goes back to Dad. Oh no, Clera keeps pointing a finger over here, but her dad was also a musician. He was with quite a famous band in Samoa. Didn't he play for, what was the band he played for back in the day? Was it Tiamat or something? Yeah.
One of them.
Some old.
I know there's Benino Le Tufau, and I know there's Tiamat.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember which one.
Yeah, it was
either one of those.
Yeah.
I used to watch
That's
him,
true,
man.
like
I was
this.
sick, yeah.
They're on the Mount Rushmore of Samoan old school bands. So
Yeah.
either way,
So,
he's a
you
big
know,
dog. You know, he done pretty well. You know.
My side was more from church, so you know, Dad played for a lot of churches back in Samoa. In fact, as a matter of fact, a lot of Fefe'aus used to take him around the islands. He was that good at playing the keyboard. Came over here and taught me a thing or two. But then Mum was quick to sort of send me to lessons because Dad was still the old school.
Yeah.
So he used his fists a lot. And Mum said, in fact, one of my biggest scars was from the corner of a piano.
Oh, okay.
Getting a slap and then hitting my eye on the corner of the piano and opened up, and that was it. Mum said, "You're going to Pirasua."
Oh, yes, I know Pirasua.
So we went there and then started doing lessons in that. And then, Dad kind of grew old and got old, and then, stopped. And I just took it from there. And I didn't really finish it off, but you guys may be familiar with my younger brother, Simon Matafai. He went all the way. He finished his grades and all that and finished off, and he's doing really well. So it was really just from church. Played at the Methodist Church in Grey Lynn for 20 plus years.
Is that the one up on not
the
road?
fourth. No. So that's that's the one. Yeah,
oh yes,
the one, the four-story one.
With,
that's the one. Yeah. So
and his brother would have been playing there too, eh?
Yep. So me and Ola played around the same time.
Yeah. So did you have like music like dance offs or something like that? Like, I'm taking this week's best here.
No, we kind of had
I'm driven past it. Sound like Vincent with the opera coming out of there.
He was really good. Yeah, Waitakere.
Yeah.
No, we had a roster going on.
Yeah, I knew it was going somewhere. I knew it was something like that.
And then he obviously got into theological college and went to Samoa and became a whewhiao. And then I went, I did the opposite and left the church altogether. I did my ka'a ones for a few years until I started at Destiny Church in 1999. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
well, just going back to Mikotisi days.
Yeah.
Man, when I was talking about going to Paul Stevens and that, I spent half my childhood there.
Really?
I was always going there just for our family stuff and that.
Everybody.
I just remember, I went past the other day and I was thinking, this church sits on some real estate.
Yeah.
Hard out.
And just thinking that these guys are still managing to have this church in the middle of Central.
Mate,
Totally.
There must be so many people trying to.
The amount of offers they've had from Chinese investors, it's in the millions. But
that's right.
It's just our people. We're just so proud of what we started in 1972, and this is it. You can't take it away from us. Yeah. No matter what money you try and offer us, we're not going anywhere. So that's
although
the attitude.
church dwindling,
families are leaving.
So my dad every Sunday
he'll go to church. This is my dad. For Sunday, for Monday to Saturday, he's a pretty lax guy, but Sunday he just turns ultra religious.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah,
our families
so
do that.
So he'll go to church and he'll come and he'll go, kise loko YouTube. Okay. So I'll just do a playlist because instead of him knocking on the wall, come and so sweet channel. And I stumbled across the Greyland McKissy.
Yeah.
And I looked at the numbers because my dad he knew the interior, and he goes, look there. And I thought, their numbers. He goes, I said to him, was it always like this? He goes, you should have seen it back in the days.
Oh yeah, man.
That's why they had 3 stories.
That's right. It was massive.
I mean, they've got an elevator.
Yeah,
That church has an elevator. That's like freaky.
Yeah. You're gonna have to have some big.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we got
freaky.
we got tired of carrying the pianos up. And even all respect.
Even the coffins, remember when they were carrying the coffins
Oh,
down
shucks!
the 3 stairs?
See, they needed to talk to the architect. Because if you're going to put an elevator, at least make it big enough to
exactly.
Oh, man.
accommodate the, maybe not.
Yeah. But even when before the elevator, they would have had to carry the coffins up and down because it's a 3-story building. It's huge.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey.
And I think it's like so on PIC. So we have Newton. We have everyone knows Newton PIC.
Yes.
That's one of the original churches. And then when I think of the Methodist Church, I always think of that church. When it comes to iconic churches around,
But the one on Ponsonby Road, the one you're
That-
referring to,
that
that's
is
the Balangi one.
Yeah.
The Dunamis side,
Yeah.
But a lot of the originals from Whetua were from Ponsonby.
Yeah.
I just recently heard a story about it. It was to do with three old men that decided in a car park that they no longer wanted to be governed under the Balangi side, and they went to Samoa and said, "Can you help us out?" And that's how Whetua came about. I just recently heard that story. It was 3, I don't know who their names were, but they just decided in the car park that they were going to face the church and say, "Sorry, we want to come under the Samoan."
Because did you know that? We had 2.
Based
on the Balangi
I know that.
Was it 2 or 3? I don't know if it was 2 men.
So I
or
know
3 men
you can tell the Samoan one because they always wear white every Sunday.
Yeah.
But us, we only wear white on one Sunday.
Oh, you because the Balangi side.
Yeah.
You got Ponsonby as well? Or?
No, Henderson.
Oh, okay. It's growing though, eh? You've got branches all over the place, eh? You call Balangi, eh?
Yeah.
But I have your numbers though. Are they still?
I don't know. I haven't been to church in the
Oh. You can edit that out later. No, I didn't know that though. That thing about so you would wear white every Sunday and then you would wear it.
White Sunday, yeah.
Oh, so it was kind of like a uniform, so if you were like one Methodist was wearing normal clothes and the other was wearing white on the Sunday, they're like standoffs there. I'm just saying.
No.
That's why you go BP. That's why you go BP up there on Sunday. They're always wearing white.
Yeah. Because that's with the Samoan.
Oh, the Tiaratu one. That's Tiaratu, right?
Yeah, that's Tiaratu.
Yeah.
Good old days, man. The Methodist days.
So see, we've gone right off track again.
Yeah.
So from there to, the piano. Were you at a young age? Did you always? Was it like forced on you, or did you always think, man, no, this is what I want to do? Because I know I've had a few friends that have gone to a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
And the only keyboard I see them as a computer keyboard. But what about you? Was it even now?
Well, it was pretty young. I started really young, and so I guess it was forced on me. But as I grew up, I actually picked it up really well. But then I guess when the hidings came, they kind of put me off trying to practice. I kind of lost that love. And I've talked about it with Clera about the difference in me and my brother. Was when my brother was growing up, my dad was old, and he didn't give as many hidings. So Simon actually grew up to love, and there's a difference when you're sort of forced to learn something as opposed to loving what you're doing, and he found a love for it, and he finished, and he's doing really well today. We lead a choir, Auckland Gospel Choir, and he's still the main piano guy, choir guy at Whetua today.
Wow. So the legacy's still there, though, eh?
He's still there. I've left, and I mean, when I say I've left, you never really leave.
You never really leave. Like I haven't I've been to like Samoa
So you
for
feel too
a couple of months. Okay, I went New Year's, but I still went. Okay, what church are you? I'm around with Pierce.
Yeah. You ripped it hard, eh?
Yeah, you know, because you are, you know.
Yeah.
Until you go start your own one, you still got ties.
Yeah.
My dad and my sister, they still go there. So you never really, you kind of identify with what Samoan church you go to. So you can't really, can't really deny that one. Yeah. So, were you writing music during that time? I know after the time that you've kind of gone off.
I did a lot of arrangements. Put it that way. I sort of adopted music from other people that create the music, and then sort of try and adopt it and add the Samoan lyrics to it, sort of using our species. So I did a lot of that, arrangements. So I think I was the one that started to bring a lot of more of the worship style of music, and it's quite foreign for the Methodists. I still remember as a young guy seeing the reactions to it, and some were good, some weren't so good. I don't know why. I think music is music when you. But I just got bored of the hymns. The hymns were always the same fucky and. Oh, you know what fucky means, the same sort of. That's the one.
What's that? This is Price one. He got us back to the. Because that's what Because I remember growing up that we used to have our church in. We used to be in St. Giles over in Te Aratu, and that's all I remember. You just see the hands going up and down.
Mostly staying on the pedal,
and I'm like, and then it was, and like you guys, it wasn't until we bought my friend Mia, it wasn't until he started taking over White Sunday and he started bringing in
that's
he's the first one to start bringing in the beats, the back. The Prince, it's faithful late, but he's coming off those influences, And then I remember him because if he would go off key, he had this like machine gun. Someone's put law back. When I just got to stand up against his town, so we better get our, But
it's changed now. They really, I go now and then when I do go back. That's just the beat's always on there now, and then they all, all the old people are into it now. They don't mind it now.
But I mean, like you're saying, like you're breaking ground, or you're bringing in your influences, and I guess like with Samoan people, we're very
set in our
ways. So anything that is kind of different, we're going to be like, until you see that other people go, oh, that is good. Oh, yes, we told him.
But part of it as well is I had a really supportive dad. Like he was hard on me, but he backed me up. So I remember one time teaching a song like that, and one of the old men stood up and didn't really like it. He said, "Ko fōringa pese, baki, look baki." And they didn't really like it, And I just looked at my dad, and my dad just said, "Out pese." And that's all I needed. Just to say.
Look back at him like.
I was like,
you're the man.
But Dad was like that. He didn't sort of tolerate. He was the one that was going to shut everyone down. But when I saw that, I was probably 15 years old. That really gave me the confidence to carry on doing what I was doing, and then.
You taught your first choir at 10, eh?
Yeah, pretty early, So Dad would just play and I would sing, or Dad would teach and he'll get me to play the notes. The tenor, alto, all those parts, and Dad would teach with him. And then just over time, he said, "Okay, I'll play, you teach." And next minute, it was like, "You teach and play," And so we had to learn pretty quick.
Being at such a young age, it must have been intimidating because you're telling older people, how to do their baloo. Because I noticed that with my mate Nems. Because, he was about 17, 18, and he's trying to tell these goingers that they're baloo. But they're like, And the thing is, I noticed about him is that he was quite hard on them, and he had to learn that because if he let these guys run over him, Ranui PIC Choir's going to be Paoloa when they come out making the album, man. The record setting up.
All competitions.
I mean, I don't know if we're platinum, but I know we got some pretty good numbers. So,
And that was a good thing. Like I said, go back to Dad, he was really supportive in that way. He would always tell me, you just teach and don't worry about the kumumus or that. You just teach because I've given you the platform.
Yeah.
You know, because he was the head, whatever it is, he wasn't Kaikaipesi, but he was head of the music side of things. So he sort of gave me that authority just to teach and don't listen to anyone. Yeah, but there were times, I'll be honest, where I've had to correct the old ladies. You know.
Oh, how was that? That was worse. Because does that mean you weren't going to get a feed from Michael's after all?
So some ladies, they think singing soprano, you got to scream, you know. So I had to sort of teach them as, if you're louder than the lady next to you, then you're not working together. You're supposed to try and blend together. We only blend. We all know you got the top E in the whole Ikalesia. Songs, So I had a lot of that, but mixed it in with a bit of humour, not too strict. And back then, my whasamo was really good too. Yeah. And that's one thing I love about the Methodists is, and the PIC. And the Kaiki churches.
I know that about the Methodists. That's the one thing I do know about those guys, man.
They're strict. Those
guys, would be sitting there. I mean, when one of the boys from varsity would be sitting down with the guy, Simon was good, and then he bars along. I'm like, I can recite my white Sunday paper from last year, but I'm sorry, brother, you're Fasama 101 there.
Even calling people to eat, It's real. Oh my goodness.
His name was Tony Tupu. I don't know if you know Tony Tupu.
Actually, I do know.
Yeah,
we know a lot of people.
So he's Ponsonby. And that guy, bro. I remember him doing that. And I was like, okay, so.
He's actually really good.
Because
his father as well is really good.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm not sure if they're still there though. Right?
Yeah, but his dad, was he the piano?
Yeah, he was the conductor as well.
Yes. I remember that.
Really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if did Tony have another brother?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're still in New Zealand or Australia, but I haven't seen those guys.
I caught up with Tony late last year.
Oh, so he's still here?
Yeah. So he's staying out west now. That's funny because he's the number one. He was the number one Southside flag bearer.
Oh.
At varsity,
Really?
And then when I saw him and he was going, "You're still about west now." I was like, "Wow, look at this guy, mock the Westies," and then. Yeah, but he's that, and I knew that because his boys, all his Methodist boys and all that, when you hear them talk, when they're doing their laungas and that, I'm like, man, where'd you learn this? Probably
church.
We had, we learned it all through church. I mean, at church. And the one thing that we tried to bring that in, but we were much older. Yeah. And I think maybe if we learned that stuff, if it was brought up earlier at church, I really think it would have benefited a lot of the boys at our church, So, and you can see, you see that Pacifica thing works, how it's working at your school. You just see how all those guys that I've seen come through Benner's classes, I've got about 5 or 6 friends and family that have come through there. Man, you see them on that night when they're, at Malaiola, or when they're talking, or when we go to take a seat and they do the, it's all from that. And
wow.
I mean, the way that gives them that kind of confidence.
So
because, once you know, it's cool how Benner breaks it down. It's you've got different parts. You just got to bring it together and have something, that ties them all together. So,
what a shame you didn't stay on.
Waiting. I'm going to have my turn soon. It's funny because I saw him. So you come back. It's the same things everyone used to say to me at school too. So, it's deja vu, man. But that's so cool, and it's so cool that the churches are bringing that back. Because I know that's what we're having that out at Ranui as well. That next day, so
that's awesome.
So that bring that kind of stuff back too. So with the music, and that. What made you think? So what really was we're going to start this? We're going to start this, the group or the.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if you guys have family members who just naturally have music in their blood, you know. And we were kind of like that family, you know, all our kids, nephews and nieces. Whenever we got together, you know, it wasn't difficult for us to sing in tune and all that. So I'm not saying that we're, you know, but we just had that music gift from
Just
our parents.
musically wired.
Yeah, that's the word. We were just musically wired. Yeah,
we're not the Jackson 5.
yeah. And so we obviously saw that at a young age. Our kids were, you know, I try to push them towards rugby league. You know, as you do. I had one of my oldest son was pretty good, Ezekiel, but they just grew out of it. They just gravitated towards music again. So it wasn't something that we tried to force them. It was like came natural. Yeah. Like for Kid 99, who's our producer, who's our second eldest son, you know, it was just we just put a computer. For their birthday, we just brought a mini studio, and we just said, "There you go." And he went to the University of YouTube and just learned everything online.
You know, I think a lot of people have their degrees from there. I think I'm studying for my master's. My thesis is coming out soon, so guys.
And so he actually started at Mains. I don't know if you know, that's a music school in town, and he left there with some sort of certificate in live sound. And I think being young, he wasn't ready to really sit down and do the heavy Bachelor of Music and stuff. And so we didn't really want to push him.
Which is what we tried to push him
that way, but you know, because Mum's quite an intellect in terms of getting degrees. She was big on that. She's always pushing the boys, and I'm the guy that says, "Hey, can you do this?" Because you know, if you think you can, but you're not really 100% sure, you're just gonna waste your money, you know. Because once you get that student loan, you gotta pay it, man. So he just said, "Nah, Dad, I just want to focus on making music." And we just said, "Okay." And so on their birthday 3 years ago, just got him a
Our boys
studio.
are born on the same day.
Yeah,
but just 2 years apart.
Yeah,
which is really funny because like we're born on the same day.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
1 year apart.
Yeah.
So for us to have, because we've got 7 kids, 6 boys and 1 girl. And our girl is the oldest. And then our boys after our girl were both born on August the 2nd, but just 2 years apart, which is really freaky. So on their birthdays, as I said, you know, let's just go get them a studio. But I think he had some experience too with the boys had just turned 18.
Yeah.
And so they were beginning to go out, you know, and then all, you know, their friends were coming over, and then they all started entertaining the going out scene because, you know, they just turned 18. They started experimenting with, you know, the drinking. And so Isaiah wouldn't let the boys go out on their own. And so he would chaperone them, and he'll take them into town. And the kids had sleep in the car or would go into the clubs. But the kids were really good. And he would stay there till about 4 o'clock in the morning, and just to bring his boys back home because he just didn't feel comfortable leaving them there. And then I think one night they had a bit of an incident where Ezekiel got into a fight, and he went to jump in, and one of the boys went to attack Dad, and then all the boys came in, and then Ezekiel got hurt in the process. And so I think it was kind of from all that...
It's a turning point, eh?
Yeah, that was a turning point for us. We thought, okay, music is what they're good at. We've got this studio. Let's do our very best to just to push and pursue the music.
All the energy.
Let's put all the energy into the music and keep them at home, keep them safe, rather than just letting them, you know, out. And so that's kind of where it's come from. You know, we really do try and steer them in. Come on, boys, you know, music's where it's at. You don't need to go out. And when we do go out, we all go out together.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're probably the oldest. Clubbers.
Are you sure you haven't seen us? Is that camera?
But when we go out with an entourage. Whenever the kids have a gig or something, we all go out together.
Cool, though.
You've got mum and dad waiting for them, you know, trying to wind them up.
We must be the only parents that do that, eh? But I think for me, it was being ex-policeman. I saw a lot of really bad stuff that you know I wouldn't want anyone to see, and a lot of it involved drink driving. So I'm an advocate for not drinking driving, and so even though I still push the boy, you know, tell them off, I always hear stories that somehow they disobeyed me and that. So So that was a big thing for me. Just, hey, I'm just a phone call away. I don't care if it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Clara's making out that I'm in the car stalking everybody. No, I'm not in the car, bro. I just drop them off. And then I just tell them, you just text me when you guys are ready and then I'll go and pick them up. But there are times they don't and they, and then they get told off from me the next day. But a lot of it's from that. And yeah. So that particular night was really bad. And not going into all the details, but pretty much Ezekiel was looking after his Tongan mate, who made trouble down in the club of the Samoans. Yeah. But when the Samoans came out, they didn't know that my son, because he's quite dark. Yeah. They thought he was Tongan as well. So in the process, he got hit really badly, and I was in the car running down, but I got there too late, and my son was knocked out cold, and so I said, nah. Went back into that prayer closet and said, Lord, show me the way, show me the way, and he just said music, get them into getting the music, and that pretty much started Dunamis Music.
It's really where the name came from as well.
Yeah, and it was amazing how everything just fell in place, like they also mentioned about our quality of our music videos, and I got to give credit to my cousin, so it's all a family affair, and he was just a photographer. Just taking photos at weddings.
He just graduated, eh?
Yeah, and he was like, and I said to him one time, I said, man, that's a pretty flash camera. Can you shoot a video of that? He goes, yeah, I'm sure I can. 33 videos later, you guys have seen the content. Yeah. And he's extremely talented kid, man.
He's gone from strength to strength.
Just gets better and better and better. And so people like other musicians, man, you guys must have a lot of money, Because, to get a video these days, you're looking at anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 to get a decent, solid video, and I says, no, it's just a family sort of, we all want to support our kids, and, Fata, that's why Fata does that. He loves his nephews and his nieces and all that, and so that's why he does it. At the same time, he's learning too. Yeah. Because now other labels out there are using him, And
then the exposure is from you.
Yeah, well, he's really much out there now, and it's really funny, because every time we go, all right, we need you to, for this video, and he goes, oh, yeah, I'm busy, and we're like, oi! Don't you forget where he started, mate.
So what's his name? Fata?
Fata Tuili. Yeah. And Project is his stage name, or what? That's his name on his Instagram, Project.
But yeah, he's really busy now.
Yeah, he's really busy.
But that's so cool, But the thing is, he could have spent, thousands of dollars getting the latest equipment and all that, but because he learned how to, for asking him this, hey, can you shoot a video of that? And then from that, now he's, it sounds like he's Mr. Popular now. Just tell him to get the people,
Yeah, he's actually upgraded now with his gears. Yeah, now. He's got a lot of
just gradual.
He's been used really well, because like Isaiah's sister, she's the president for Samoa New Zealand. Yeah, and so in all the pageant stuff. She started using him for the pageant stuff as well, taking the photos.
Free trip to Samoa every year.
And then
is there a podcast to come on this year or no? And we'll talk about that
And then just through that learning experience, with the pageant, and then with us pushing him to do music videos, and then of course, Isaiah's other brother Simon does a lot of community stuff with choirs and stuff. So again, it was come and try and do some videos here. And then one time we tried to because Isaiah owns a business, reposition business, and we said to him, because one time this it was a production company, they called us and said to him, hey, I think we can have a really good a reality, we can do a reality show on repositions, we'll go and we'll follow you. And we thought, that'd be really cool, So they did this mini promo, but then...
They tried to shoot a pilot? Was it?
They tried to do a pilot. Yeah. But then we lost out to Neighbours at War or something.
Okay.
So they chose to go with that one because of the legalities around privacy, when you're following, because it's live stuff. And so in the end, when YouTube and, those platforms started to come into play, we said to Fata, bro, let's do it, man. You come now, you can follow us. You know, there's so many things we can, we can fuzz or phase out faces, we can reenact stuff. And then I don't know if you guys know Brian Sangala, who's a really good friend of ours.
So he's the host from 5:30 on
Yeah. And so we had a couple of times we did some, reenactments, and it was hilarious, man. And doing repositions, and Fata was there again learning stuff. But the thing is, we all work, like he has a business, I have a job, which is really big. And so all these ideas that we come up with, you need the time and the energy to really push into it. But, we'll have fun with it for a couple of hours at night, and then in the morning we've got to go to work. So, you kind of lose momentum. But I was saying to this one, oh man, they would have gone off, And,
exactly.
Yeah, and Fata again, it's like learning from this experience to the next experience, and now people are using him more than we are. It's like, okay.
I mean, the times we live in right now is so cool for content creators.
Yeah.
I had a podcast last week with Tana. He's he does the tech podcast that we do, and I just mentioned there, this day and age, this time right now, like. We only have to watch TV, watch movies, or listen to radio, and go home, get our own mics, get our own cameras, and do the same thing, and maybe make it better. Everybody's got no excuse. Everybody can actually do that with social media and YouTube that's out there.
That's right.
A good example is the show, The Bakery Run. I don't know if you guys see that guy. Tim Provice.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen him trying all the different pies and that.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, so he's got a guy that's learnt the skills. He actually went to the video.
Wow.
But he went to actual school for it.
Okay.
And I think he left TVNZ. He got stood down from the COVID-19 stuff.
Oh, okay.
So he got together with this guy Tim Provice and started making shows around reviewing pies at bakeries around Auckland.
Wow.
That's cool.
And they've put them on YouTube, and it's like a proper show. You wouldn't know the difference if you watched it and think to yourself, oh, is that on TV? Or
With all these programs now, the production quality, it's equivalent of TVNZ in it. Yeah, when you see all the graphics come up in that, and you're like, man, this, and you'd probably see about, if this was TVNZ, you'd see 10 names, because, and it's, now you just see two people, the presenter and the guy who recorded it and then went home and used Photoshop or whatever to put it all together, And that's why there's so much content now. If you look at Instagram, or you look at all the guys that do the funny little skits, like we have a guy, Cameron, that comes on, one of those, the real BDFS, and they. You see the quality, the production of the time that goes into it. And the cool thing is they're just like us. Like you said, we've got day jobs. But at night, that's when we get the chance to be creative or do some... Exactly.
And what you guys mentioned about the repossessing show, I mean, why not? I mean, you guys can actually do it.
Well, I was waiting for you to say, we lost out to the Casketeers. Because I would have well, they just could have had two shows like that, Could have had the repo side. Because sometimes the repos come because of funerals. But
I think the legalities that Clera mentioned was quite... prevents us from doing a lot of stuff. So I remember talking to the Great Southern Television Company, and they were saying that they can only shoot from the footpath.
Oh, so they can't follow you into...
so I said,
but you're so right. Like, with the stuff that we have now, like, we can just reenact the stories.
Yeah.
Like, he's got the experience of the actual stories, but there's nothing stopping anyone from reenacting, those stories.
Money.
And, but I know.
Well, you just got to have the actors.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've got 7 actors there. 1 girl and 6 boys.
That's it. I don't know. I tend to think that enough raw material and live is what people are looking for.
It's that reality, eh?
Yeah.
It's raw reality.
But there are some shows out there. I think there's a couple from America.
Yeah,
they're all reenactments.
I've watched those.
They're all reenactments because you can tell. I mean, I saw some the other time, and
some of them were so bad the way. You know it's Bello. It's like this.
But it's entertaining, eh?
On Food TV, they used to have this show called Mystery Diners, and I watched one episode and I went, this is fake.
Yeah.
Because, they come back in. So, the premise of, the program is about a boss or someone who owns a diner or a restaurant, and they've had complaints about their staff abusing customers, or the chef or the cook not doing the food properly. But when I was watching it, it was just so fake, It was like so put on. And then, so the pretend customer would go back to they'll be waiting in the van, these movies.
Yeah.
And then the owner would be, I can't believe they do this kind of thing. And I thought, this is so fake. And I was still with one of my brother's close friends. And he's going, son, I watch this all the time, man, it's so real. And I went, no, this is fake. So we looked it up. We looked it up on YouTube. We found this awful battle, all staged.
Yeah. All staged, yeah.
So when you're talking about that program that you would have had, that's raw.
Yeah.
Not this,
that's right.
Because
TV
they told him to go in and do like a secret video of a few of his jobs. And he had this one where he had this Maori guy just fully abuse him, just come out. He was all tattered and everything, and it was like really, it was scary stuff.
It scared the production guys. They were like, "Whoa, is this what you do for a living?"
And so that was raw footage,
The camera shaking. Hey, keep the camera still, man.
We have an shaking hands. This Fijian man out here, he's like, and I was like, "Wow, cool!" I'm like, "That's a special face." And the guys watching the movies were like, "Whoa!" And the producer goes, "Man, we need to get this."
Yeah.
So you're right. That stuff you cannot reenact. That's the raw
People
stuff that people want to see.
Yeah.
And I think with the production company, they were probably thinking, they want to see that raw stuff. So, going with a reenactment probably wasn't the way to go for them. But I was saying to this guy, man, because sometimes I go with him just to keep him company. And I sit in the car and it's like a full-on movie, man, when he's dealing with clients.
You know what you're dealing with is probably like, it is the most raw thing, because the one thing is because you're not a cop, so people are going to back themselves,
That's right.
And plus you're coming to take their property. Not
That's right.
anymore. But
that's right.
Like you think you own something, and someone turns up and knocks on your door and says, "Hey, I'm here to take your car," or "I'm here to take your TV," and that, and then the usual, you must hear excuses like, "Oh, my kids use it to play PS4." So
I've heard every excuse in the book.
Wait, are you able to tell us one of the worst excuses you've heard?
The one of the old man when you left him.
When I left him sitting on one chair. So it was back in the days when we could take furniture, and that's how. And we follow instructions. If the finance company say empty, we empty. And this poor old man was visiting from Samoa. And so he didn't know what was going on. He had all these men coming through. He was like, lucky I could communicate in Samoan and told him who I was and where we're from. And he just said, but it was that last. When I looked back at it and I saw his face, the whole house empty, and he's just sitting on that kitchen table chair and just sitting there like, I'll never forget that, just looking back, and he's like, whoa. The whole house was empty, and
I'm just putting myself in that man's, the old man, the Goinu situation. His friend mine is like this, that's what he's, so he's going to say, because this family's going to come back and, Dad, where's everything? Well,
what made me laugh was he was supposed to take everything.
You leave the lunch?
Why did you leave the chair then?
So I had to make up a pillow to the finance company. It was broken. He's like, chair missing. It's broken.
Also, so do they have a list of stuff that you'd have to take?
Yeah, so if you go get a loan, you have to secure it with either chattels or vehicle.
Yeah.
So back in those days, it was mainly chattels. So a guy will come around with his piece of paper and he'll write down all your furniture. So when we go to repossess, after heaps of letters sent out, phone calls, no money's coming in, it's a last resort. So they just give me a list. Okay, this is what we want you to pick up. We go there with our pick up. And then we just do the work. So, you're right. Like 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be either excuses, or we're going to fight, or we're going to throw hands, or what.
Because you must be on edge all the time, when you go
it's pretty stressful.
It's kind of like, when you go to a friend's house, and you know they've got a dog, but you can't see the dog. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you're kind of like,
take it
is the dog
easy.
going to come
Yeah.
around the corner?
Yeah. Don't even start with dogs, man.
Oh,
I've got stories about dogs too, you know, but yeah, it's full on now. But the law changed about 4 years ago, and they have now clamped down on repossession agents taking furniture that people need for survival, like washing machines. We can't take those anymore. Beds,
Basic living stuff.
You need a bed to sleep on, so we can't take those anymore. So now finance companies don't even touch furniture anymore. Unless you've got a 60, 80-inch TV there. Yeah, then they'll tell us, take the TV. But, we don't hardly do. I'm basically, I just do cars now. Yeah, it's just a pain lifting up TVs, getting close to... Getting close to 50, getting close to 40, man, you know.
That's a kind of, it must be out of it, because you said you used to be a policeman.
Yeah.
And you've gone from one kind of one job.
It's supposed to get less stressful
That's
job,
what I was
but I've
thinking.
gone from one extreme to another. Yeah. And
But he left the police and became a private investigator.
Yeah.
So he's a private investigator. But
Did you do you have a lot shirt too? Or?
the Pacific PIA, the real PIA.
Nice. I thought I saw a Ferrari outside sitting in the front of the...
And so out of his, private investigation job, he comes home with all these records. I'm thinking, bro, just do your PI work. But this seems to pay a lot more than the PI
spying
work.
for the, spying on the husband that's up in up in Auckland for a business meeting. Get the old job come through. He's been up there, super yacht, and so we've had those sort of jobs too. That you see on TV.
That's
good money in that.
I'm learning. I'm seeing so much new things in this recording. I did not know that there was a PI. There's a PI out there. But what how was that? Because I've never. When you think of private
it is a real thing.
I'm going to tell you in America.
Man, it's a real thing. So a lot of bulk of my work was just insurance related. So
people that are
fake, or they have a burglary and then all of a sudden everything else goes missing, So I just go and investigate and just re-interview the people that are making the claim.
But do you have to tell them that, do you have to make yourself known to them?
Yeah.
Or are you from, far away doing the stakeout?
No, he's done a
I've
few
done all those stakeouts.
okay.
So I've done the stakeouts.
With the adulterous wife? Or?
Husband. I've done those.
That's so. When they have stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is it like the movie? Is it because they don't want to?
Exactly like the movies, bro.
Because they don't want to pay out on they get a divorce.
That's it, bro. Yeah.
Are you still doing it because?
No.
I was saying,
I don't do as
don't
much
come along
these
and
days.
sit in a good company for these stakeouts, bro.
But if you know anyone that's looking is having ideas about their husband, just let me know and I'll follow them around for a couple of hours and get some photos for them. Yeah.
Is it rewarding? As in money wise? Is it? Can you get a job where? Because honestly, you can tell I watch too much movies. But you get the envelope, it's got all cash in it, and then you go, "This is all I want you to do." Follow my wife around for a week.
Yeah, these days probably won't get the envelopes, probably just transactions from the bank account. But I know some private investigators that do a lot of it, of those cases, but they're a lot older and been in the business a while. And I've had a couple of jobs to assist them as surveillance and just learn from them. But most of my work, I don't do much of it anymore because the repo business is turnover is a lot better for me. So I can just go do a repo and get paid like that. With investigation work, you could be doing weeks and weeks of investigation, especially if it's a serious arson, and people, you got to investigate everybody. When companies put in their claims, burnt buildings, you got to invest. It goes on for weeks. So I just just go and repo, get my good pay straight away. It's in the bank overnight. Just take the keys, and that's it. Move on to the next one.
That's why I think it's really difficult because I'm all about education, and so I push you need a degree. But yet hubby doesn't have a degree. yet.
I've got a couple of papers, come on.
Well,
In the police, you got to do it.
Yes, I know that. My brother's a cop as well.
Okay,
So
you know.
but in terms of a fully
degree?
fledged,
Degree,
and so he's like, you don't need a degree to do well in life because, he doesn't have one. I have, a few, and then he makes more, we make the same money. So it's
come on.
Well,
Now you do, hey. I gave you a few years to catch up.
and so the kids are like, well...
Look at the stats, they say 90% of the world's most wealthiest people don't have degrees.
Yeah, true.
Is it 90%?
Well, he's looked after us, in terms of... he's looked after us young kids with his private investigation, stakeouts, and so it's pretty good. It pays off.
So what's the the industry like? The private... Oh, it's only because I'm just fascinated by it now. Because... Is there a demand for...
Oh, huge demand. I got a friend, ex-cop friend of mine, and he runs a company called Translegal just here in New Zealand, and they do full-on fraud investigations for all the big finance companies. So they are busy.
So, because what if you want
not to be sad, but I mean, a lot of the culprits are our Ikea brothers.
Oh, yeah. Committing that kind of amount of fraud.
So they buy a lemon, and, that was a common... occurrence was people would buy a car, find out it's a lemon, and then they'll just say, organise a cuzzy to come and steal it.
Oh,
so they can get the insurance back on it and then buy something else. Yeah. So we had a lot of those. So our job is to try and break them. Pretty much look at their details and just ask the hard questions. And I've got to say, I'm not blowing my own horn here, but I used to crack a lot of them. To the point where my mate, when I was telling him, I got to go, he's like, man, I'll give you some more money. He tried to offer me a bit more just to stay because, we just ex-cops are good at that sort of stuff. And that's why a lot of ex-cops do that stuff because we get taught about investigation and those skills to really crack someone name. But it's frightening, man. It's just fraud everywhere, eh?
Unfortunately.
The thing is, I never actually investigated an island family. They're really honest people, man.
They're on the repo side.
No, it's because they don't have insurance. Not being mean, but no insurance. That's probably why I didn't see many making claims.
Yeah, it's quite interesting those experiences you had, especially between the cultures. Like you're saying there's no islanders and you investigated. To me it talks to what is actually out there, what the news don't report, and what the news is trying to push that sort of narrative of Pacific Islands.
And I hate that.
And to say that you're saying that we're not even on that side. I think
not many at all, man. It's good.
It's interesting.
Church people, eh? Believe in God and try and be right, good people. Yeah.
That's why they're more on the repo side because they give all their money to church.
Well, that is... we talked about that too. One of the girls talked about... she wrote an article about tithing or giving. The amount of...
I think I remember that.
We used to give back in the days.
Yeah.
And I think another thing though with stuff like that is mentalities have changed as well. Because... I remember back in the days when they used to stand up at the front of the church and they'd
call it out.
They'd call the name and how much you're doing. And because we're such proud people, I don't want, my dad would be like, I don't want to hear my name and not hear my name. Because I want to make
they
sure
still do that now.
I know, now in our church now we have automatic payments. The greatest, the one thing that, one of God's greatest gifts is money transfers. Because, it doesn't have to be put on blast. It can be, silent but with love, and that's what the great thing about money transfer or what the automatic payments can do. So
I had an Indian uncle that put it beautifully. He was really quite a wealthy Indian, but he married my auntie Samoan, and he said to me something when I was quite young, and he said, the problem of Samoans is we think too much from our heart and not from here. He said, in the Indian culture, when we get money, we pay our bills, our rent, all that. And then what we have left is we decide who we can help, whether it be a family member or whatever. was the Samoan mentality. As soon as we get the money, we give it to the whalawe first,
Yeah.
or the church first.
Yeah.
So that's that heart, eh?
Yeah.
Giving it out, and then we're left with it, and we go, oh no,
And
we've
then
got to pay our car.
Yeah.
And they try and break it up what they got left to pay the car, the rent, all that, and that's how we get into trouble and all that. And he said, but man, your people are the most hardworking people that he's ever known. But we just have to change that mentality a bit, eh?
Did you feel there's a shift though? Like there might be, because I mean you're not hardly doing any repositioning. that might be a good sign. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying.
I think
do you
for
think
us,
there's a bit more education when it comes to money wise, or money, what we do with our money, or how we spend our money? Well, we just earning more money these days that we can.
I think there is a little bit more money rolling around.
Yeah, we're a little bit older than you guys. We're sort of getting close to the 50s, and I think...
Oh, we're not that far off.
Oh, okay.
we were born in the 70s, if that helps. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, Clara's on the early side of the 70s.
It's going to be a long time back to my wedding.
But
you were waiting on that.
But I had my fair deal of growing up giving all my pay to mum. And I think a lot of us in our age had to do that, eh?
Yeah.
You know, it was like, yeah, mate, look, I'm going to give it back, and then mum will give back 20, you know? And she'll keep the 300, eh? Whatever. But then, now that we're a lot older, we actually have enough confidence and courage to say no.
Yeah.
You know, even if, you know, there's big, you know, not begging, but they ask us, we're actually more educated now to say, okay, we can afford to give this much. But back in our day, man, jeez, we used to give everything, eh?
Yeah. Well, I remember, you know, my first money-making job I was picking strawberries with my brothers, and I remember, you know, the one thing that really brought me like joy or made me proud was going to cash that check, and then you go to give your principal.
Yeah.
Here you go, Dad.
Good feeling, eh?
But you know, but in the back of your mind, just give back enough for so I can go hang with the boys tonight, you know? And then when you see, you know, they 50%. Oh, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
You know, I must be doing well.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
one thing it did teach me is knowing that, you know, besides tax, that your money's going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might be a mortgage, it might be a car payment, it might be. So I kind of learned early, like, you know, if I was brought up like all that money's yours, and then I would kind of assume that kind of, or that mentality would be, but all that money is mine, so it'd be really hard to part with that kind of money. You know, so you learn early that besides the tax man, the dad man is after. He's going to get his cut, or you know, his parents. So it kind of teaches you early, you know, and I think that's why, as Samoans or as Pacific Islanders, because we've learned so early that the money's going to go, I think that's why we didn't really have that when it came to whalawe or when it came to giving money to the church. We were just so used to
giving it. Yeah.
Until you turn about
handing it over.
Yeah, until you turn about 30, like no. Someone did the math. You know, this equation doesn't work out.
Then the labels come in, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think also it kind of changed over time, because, you know, when we were younger, we actually saw the struggle.
Yeah, that's
you know,
right.
we saw the struggle a lot more. So, and our parents used to talk to us about the struggle. You know, it was quite open. So whenever there was always a need, or we were seen as everyone had to give. But I think now, as we bring up our own kids, we don't want to impose the same struggle on our own kids.
Okay.
So rather than getting them involved in the struggle, you know, we bend over backwards to try and give them, give them everything that we lacked.
Yeah.
And then I think that's kind of backfires in a sense as well.
I was going to say that because I know there's a lot, you know, I see a lot of people, you know, I watch follow a lot of people on Instagram or social media that talk about, you know, a lot of parents, they try and give kids or their kids everything that they didn't have, but then sometimes the kids become not spoiled, but they don't learn, they miss out on other lessons. Is that, have you found that to be true?
Yeah, I think we tried really hard not to spoil our kids, because but I think by default we probably did. You know, because we just really tried to give them the things that I remember days when I would go to school as a young one, and I wouldn't have a jumper for how long, because mum and dad couldn't afford a jumper. But man, I'd go to school freezing, just in the shirt, and or the no shoes, or the or the no lunches, and that kind of, I think, rings volumes, for us. And so we don't want our kids, you never forget it. So you don't want your kids to go through the same thing. Right. So you always try and give them, what you didn't have. And in the hope that they don't have the same,
Oh, that was
the same
that was
fear.
What I was trying to get at. Was it must be like hard for you to, must have been hard for you to strike a balance.
Yeah,
balance there,
and now I think it's probably, our kids are quite, our kids, they say it to us all the time, they've lived a good life.
Yeah.
To the point now where, they're quite reliant. And a lot of our friends and family would say to us, man, you guys enable your kids too much. You give them too much. They've got families of their own, and we're still giving, to them. They're not like how we were growing up, where we started giving back to our parents. But we haven't yet to experience it with our own kids.
But that's the new model, isn't it?
I think so, I mean?
Because, the Samoa way is, you have kids so they can go see you when you get older, because it's kind of, it's drilled into us like, oh, well, when my dad gets older, my parents get older, I need to do this.
Yeah.
But I think with this generation, or our kupulanga, it's kind of like, well, we've given you the tools, whether you come back and look after it, but as long as you can look after yourselves, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're at. Like, I would hate for my kids to carry that burden of having to come back and look after me.
Or just feeling like feeling obliged, or feeling
Like, I hope and pray that, but when we get to that age that, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
That they can then just look after their families. But in saying that, we don't neglect our parents. Like, we're here solely to look after our parents.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, our kupulanga. Like, see, my mum's gone now, so I stay home with my dad. My dad, he's retired, so it's hard for him to move around. But at no point do I say, oh no, this is what I'm supposed to do. I do it because I love it. And it's funny because our relationships changed, because back then it was kind of like, he's my dad, I'm the son, he tells me what to do and that. But now we're kind of like, when we talk it as friends.
Roommates.
Roommates. So, did you need the toilet seat up, man? Come on, man. But I'm just saying, like, it's changed. Our relationships changed. And then, like, he always, the one thing about my dad is he acknowledges it all the time. If I do something for him, he always say, thank you for doing this. And I go, all right. But like you said, I think you said that you were spot on. Like, we don't neglect our own parents, because that was our mentality, or that's the way we are.
Yeah, we were brought up.
We were brought up, and we're doing that now.
Yeah.
But I think the next generation, I don't feel like they feel that obligation, because you've taught them in a different,
Yeah, and I don't know whether it was a good thing that that we've kind of taught them to just look after themselves, not to worry so much about us. But in the hope that, they all don't run away and neglect us. It's cool.
So most of the kids are in the music label you guys created.
They all are.
They all are bar one. We've got our boy Caleb, who's not musically wired, I guess. He's more of our sports star, he's the basketball player, but everyone else, and our younger one, Elijah.
Yeah.
Elijah, who wants to be a dancer.
Well, one thing,
he's only 9.
One thing though, because back in the day, like, being a dancer at 9 years old was never. If I said to my dad, Dad, I'm going to go be a dancer, I can understand. I'll probably have a scar over here next to the piano as well, because, you know what I mean? But now, because our times have changed, these are achievable.
Yeah.
There is a career in that. And I could, us, we're the same kupulanga, so the kind of things that are open to the kids now, they're not, they weren't feasible, or they weren't, you couldn't comprehend.
No, I couldn't think of it, eh?
Yeah.
No. Even a career in music, like back then, eh?
Yeah,
Every time we said we wanted to do music, I was
You know, that's the thing. You're like, because I was just thinking that when you were talking about, you know, playing the piano and arranging music, there were really no part. Was not a pathway to anything unless you were going to go play background for Michael Jackson and the band something like that. You know, you had the big time. Because even here in New Zealand, like even being in a band, you know, unless you're a crowded house or
there's no money in it, eh? There's no music and there's no money in music here in New Zealand. And I mean, our kids, and I think our kids have understood that. They believe that as well. Like it's purely out of natural creativity and the love of music. But I think, if anything, I don't think it's sustainable.
Well, you know, in saying that, because, you know, times have changed. If you, like, who's that the guy from out south who had that TikTok? Yeah. So he managed to monetize that. And the thing about what's happening a lot now is that our own artists, our Pacific artists are releasing their music independently. Because I remember, because we've had a few guys come on. We had JM's come on, so you guys know. And we had Dunamis Brown, and all those guys. And they were talking about how... Oh, and we had Luppy as well. So we had Luppy Mariner come on. And they were talking about how it's kind of shifted from... You had to go get a record label and you had to get noticed and that. I think now what's happening is that if you're talented, if you're good enough, you will get exposed, or you will manage to turn that into money. And I think what's awesome is that your kids now are in that position where they can actually turn it into money. Yeah? You know, back then, for us, you know, even if we had like the greatest song in the world, someone was going to get a cut. You know, there was like, you know, everyone's going to try and get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Because we had Te Hamo on as well, and he kind of gave us the background on how the music industry works. You know, you think you're dealing with one guy, but you're dealing with 10. You know, everyone wants to have their, you know, piece of the cake or piece of the pie. So, do you think? Have you noticed that though with your kids? Do you think that it's set out that way now? Because I think you've got Spotify, you've got YouTube. You know, if your music, we know your music's good enough. It's just a matter of time of it being picked up.
Yeah. I still think New Zealand is not big enough to really crack it here, unless you're 660. It just depends on the genre. I think the genre that my kids are in, it's still evolving a lot, and that's why our focus, we've had to shift our focus from New Zealand now, because we look at our stats from our viewers on YouTube, we're getting a lot more coming from America.
Oh, awesome.
Because America's so big, and there are a lot of proud Polynesians, and when they see something like that, they all in it, So we're now sort of looking at how we can sort of explore overseas more. And I've heard this term a lot, this whole tall poppy syndrome. It is real.
It is real.
Yeah, it is real. Like, we talked about mainstream before we went live, about the gatekeepers. The sad thing that I've seen in the 3 years we've only been in it is that they're actually becoming gatekeepers within our own people. You know, if you look at the, got to tread carefully here, but let's look at the music awards, Pacific Music Awards. You sort of see a pattern that it seems to be the same people winning them all the time. And I'm thinking, hey, how come, you know, why are we seeing the same results?
It's a little bit hard to break through, eh?
Yeah, and so we've just tried to encourage our team is to just open your, you know, just think bigger. Yeah. Because, you know, even in our shows, we've done a few shows now, and, man, even my family don't support it. You know what I mean? We bring a show out west, and my family don't show up, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a no-brainer. If I see my nephews on things, so I'm there. Yeah. But so I realised, man, it's really, really hard. Yeah.
We've got such a laxed attitude, I think, around support of one another. Like we do, but we do from a distance. Yeah. And I think that's where that whole syndrome comes from, and I think also our kids aren't the typical, hood wearing performers that New Zealand are quite used to. Like when our boys came out, they wanted silk shirts and it was, I think, in the view of New Zealand, it's quite different. They're not the typical group that come out, and then they look different. They probably sing a little bit different.
But don't get me wrong, we still love everyone that supports our music in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, people still got that mentality that they'll spend $150, $200 to see an overseas, artist, and won't spend $10 to come and support local talent. It's that mentality there that I'm thinking, because these kids, like most of our artists, which are our kids, they do this full time, and so this is their bread and butter. It'd be good to see a lot of our local people support, not only us, all local artists, in
but
general.
We do, when we go through our stats, we do get a lot of support overseas. Australia's huge. USA,
Thank you, Australia, if you're watching.
So, and that's where a majority, and our New Zealand supporters are really low compared to our outside support, and maybe it's just a real casual thing, like, oh, that's really cool, or they're doing really well, but what we don't realise is that unless we actually show face or turn up or make it into a transaction of some sort, the support isn't necessarily there. So I think that's probably what we're experiencing, is that we get so much support outside other than the local.
I remember when I first saw one of the videos, and it just reminded me of that sort of American style R&B.
Yeah, well,
and
I don't know why our kids
but
went down that road.
but that's the that's when it comes to R&B, that's probably the best. That's the most recognized sound, though, is the kind of American vibe or the 80s.
But also the other thing I thought about was that's the first Pacific R&B R&B style that I've ever seen before.
Hence the reason why they are a little bit different. They're not the typical group that normally would come out of Auckland, I think. And so it's probably new and different to a lot of our to what we're used to. Sapphire, on the other hand, our girl, she gets a lot of support, a lot of love for her music, and I think for her it's the self-love of a big poly girl, who's putting herself out there, and that's where she gets a lot of support from, is like all the girls that actually think, man, I'm a big girl, and they do enjoy seeing another big poly girl out there, with a little bit of confidence, singing. It's empowering to them. So,
and you see it in the comments. I noticed.
Exactly.
The comments on the videos.
So she gets a lot of love from a lot more love than than our boys, get the trio, Truce receive. Although they get love, and I guess love from the distance. Our little boy, Zephaniah, he's probably another one that gets a lot of support. Obviously, it's that cute factor. And then we've got Rayma, who's the gospel singer, and he gets a lot of support because, he's probably a little bit more forthcoming with a lot of the stuff that he gets involved in, with the choirs and the shows that he gets involved in. But they're all really different genres, but we just find that everyone kind of receives a little bit.
When you talked about Australia and their music scene, I've noticed that too, because if you see Australia, a lot of guys that are boys that we follow on Instagram, one of those lives up in Alice Springs, he's a promoter, so he gets guys in, and he gets full on support. And then you go to guys, artists that have been here and they've gone to Brisbane and they're killing it over there because they support. They don't. So I think, and I don't understand, but our scene, we're quite judgmental. Like, I like them, but I don't want to know. I don't want people to know that I like them. You know what I mean? But over in Brisbane, they're like, I like them. I want to go and show it. I'm going to go and buy some drinks and watch these guys. And I think so. for example, if you see, you'll see nightclubs opening up with these acts, and they do that. They do that over in Australia all the time. My cousin, he'll tag me and promos that he's got there, and then you look at all the names, and it's guys that were here, Jay Williams and all these other dudes over there, and like we said, New Zealand's too small, and I think it's real talk. And Australians, they embraced them. They embraced the acts. If, for example, look at HP Boys and 1-4, and it's their own sound, and look, they're bigger here than just as big here as in Australia. But if we've got rap groups here, they're bigger over in Australians embrace them better than we do. So it must be. It's a mentality that we have to change. That tall pop. Well, we're gonna have to try. We should try and find a new name.
Yeah, I reckon.
I wonder if that mentality is because of, like you said, the market's small here. The numbers are small here. Yeah. Like whereas Australia got more numbers.
I think it's an attitude.
I think it's a
culture.
honestly
think it's an attitude.
I can't remember who I spoke to recently about the same topic, and I was interested in what he said too. He was saying that because we're so small, we're just so talented, man. There's just talent everywhere in New Zealand, and so it's like it's everywhere. I don't have to make an effort. I can listen to New FM and they're on there and that. Whereas if you go to countries like America and Australia, there's such big countries. When you hear Samoa coming to town, man, we all go support. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only reason why I said what I said before was because I know this is this thing about like when you follow other people that other people are following. Like you need a certain number for you to follow as well.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain sort of like threshold. So if you need to be popular, let's just say for example you need 1,000 likes, right? 1,000 likes to get you in the door of a concert or something. Yeah. Well, at the beginning, people are gonna like you, but they're not gonna click like until the next person clicks like, and they'll see that there's a certain amount of likes, then they'll start clicking likes, even though they like you. But it's still like that following thing. So that's why I mentioned like New Zealand's too small for that to happen, because in Australia there's more people. You're gonna get enough likes for people to follow everyone quickly. Then New Zealand,
that's it.
We've got a small amount of people here.
100%.
But I think you're right too. We have that culture where we wait. We'll wait for someone else to like. And if it's good enough for someone else, then it's good enough for me. So I think it is, a mix between a cultural thing and a size thing,
You know what? How it shows what we really are, sheep. I bought Krispy Kreme, right? And you remember when Krispy Kreme opened up in Manukau? I went there about 5 times and I had to leave because I didn't want to wait there for 5 hours.
Because everyone was there, right?
You know what I mean? Because it was like, hey, have you been to Krispy Kreme? And I just, no, but I prefer Dunkin' Donuts. But because everyone else is waiting, I want to go too. Because my brother and they stayed in Australia and they got Krispy Kreme all the time. They said it's not that good. But if 50 people are waiting outside Pakensae Manukau, if it's just going to go that long, I need to go there too. You know what I mean?
And now they said petrol stations now.
That's right. That's what, and that kind of shows the mentality of people. And hopefully when we hear something good, we can go, hey, let's go listen to these guys. Let's go listen to the Priest. And let's all go wait for 28 or 5 hours to get a ticket.
It's all about creating the buzz, eh?
Yeah, that's part of it too, eh?
Create that buzz and people will come then.
And when you say that, I think possibly we just lack that confidence to really decide for ourselves. Because if there was something that we liked, then just show the light.
I think there's a shift though. Because I can tell by the way the kids are dressing these days. So I'm like, you have to be really confident to wear that, okay? Because I saw, me and my boys were sitting and we had the roller door at work. And this guy walked past and he had the cool pants and they were 3/4 white socks and that. And I went, that's Steve Urkel. But man, and one of the young boys, sorry, he dresses mean. I went, man, that's confidence. That's confidence. No one cares. Man. Back in the days, man, I was like, oh man, my pants are ripped. My jeans are ripped. I think there is a shift, and hopefully it shifts to attitudes towards embracing music too.
And just supporting each other, eh?
Yeah.
So like Sunday when we're getting ready for church, and I don't know if you noticed, but the young guys now are wearing no socks with their dress shoes. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, because I couldn't find socks and we're running out of time. So I wore so I had no socks, and I thought, swag, And it was the most uncomfortable thing. I was like, what? Why are you not wearing socks, man? It's uncomfortable as. But it's an example,
tell your kids, hey, you're going to get bunions if you don't. You got some Band-Aid down there that's cover those spots there. You're going to be, some mean blisters there. But no, that's so cool. Like that's so true though. Like it's funny because the style that we used to have, it's come back full circle way.
So much so, yeah.
And I kind of laugh because I kind of see my nephew. He's moved to Australia. I used to dress like that back in the days. And he just wrote us, what are you?
That's so true.
Trying to find all things. No.
To justify it.
Yeah. But it's so cool. Yeah. I think that's one thing about style, though, is like everyone at the moment is in their search to try and be original. They're just doing exactly what people have done before.
It's just, I mean,
it's recycled.
Recycled. It's evolving. It revolves. Comes back around.
It's just history repeating itself.
Yeah.
You know how you guys said that the boys are more popular in Australia? Like, you guys guys excited that the travel bubbles there now? Because last year has been tough for
it's been shocking
for having live concerts and that. Especially overseas.
We're already in talks with some promoters over there now about some concerts later on in the year.
Brisbane love their music. Hey, we
haven't been to Brisbane yet, but
we're such a hive. Because I know I've been over there a few times. My cousins stay in Woodridge and Kingston.
Oh yeah,
and like they always have bands going and
from here.
Going over from here. DJs going over from here.
Sammy J's over there at the moment.
That's right. And it's sometimes it feels like Sammy J's bigger overseas than he is here.
Definitely.
He's huge in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, I was going to say
that.
In America, and I didn't see Sammy. I've never seen a news thing on. I've never watched News Hub or never read the Herald and they've talked about Sammy J.
Well, interesting you say that because we get radio stations from Hawaii and from Australia constantly asking for the music, for the kids' music. So they're playing it over there. And because they're playing it in the airways, the kids are making a name for themselves. And likewise in Australia, because we've got like a few radio stations that play, and even California play their music. And so because that's happening, there is, the interest to get them over there is a lot bigger. Yeah. But for us, we've just really wanted to go to Brisbane, only because for a holiday. And I think the last time we travelled overseas with the kids, I've got to say, it must have been really difficult for the promoter because there's 3 of them, then there's the management, and then there's if they wanted anybody else. So it would have cost an arm and a leg to get, whereas if you just wanted Sammy J, it's just one person. You get them over there and then you've got local acts. But I think with our family, if you want someone, you get the whole lot.
Yeah.
And so the cost, I'm sure, is a little bit, more. But it'll be really cool to be able to go to Brisbane, and Isaiah's currently in talks. He's the guy that does all the music stuff. I just dress them.
Your management,
Yeah.
I just get the pizzas ready.
But because they're still young, a lot of them. Their oldest is 23. You got to have that person to deal with promoters.
Yeah. Well.
Because promoters, mate, they're not easy to deal with because they're trying to save money on their end too, right?
They're trying to make money off you.
Yeah, that's right.
So you got to be there for them. I'll be honest, some of our kids are a few buckle sometimes and they try and do those gigs without coming to us. And it always backfires, They either don't get paid or there's a delay on getting paid. And I said, that's what I told you. You just tell them, ring my my manager.
Yeah.
Bring my dad.
Don't say dad, just say bring my manager, because we'll do all of these guys, because we're probably older than them anyway. But we can relate on that level. Whereas with them, you just focus on singing, focus on the performance.
And with your line of work and what you were in, you're used to dealing with people.
Exactly.
Sometimes people start getting hostile, or they start, trying to raise their voice, and that's not going to face you. It's going to face someone young.
Yeah, exactly.
Because especially if they don't know, the ropes, or they don't have a fair idea of what people really are. Because it sounds like your kids, you've raised them really well, but sometimes they don't know there's some people out there,
Oh yeah, you're so right. Because he's got Isaiah's got a really trusting personality, and he's got so when he deals with people, it's all out there. This is who we are. This is who I am. Take me at face value, and so that's where the relationship building is. Whereas sometimes I disagree with some of the stuff that he would agree with, and then I'd go, "What'd you do that for? Let me talk to them." And he's like, just fill him in the corner. Just keep supporting in the corner, because we don't need you stuffing things up. So I think it's really important that you have someone that has your best interest, but also knows how to deal with people.
Because when you see all those there's one common thing when you watch all those old documentaries of all those R&B groups, New Edition, TLC, and all. And it's a really bad manager, or skipping the good manager, and looking for going straight to promoters and thinking that they know better than them. And there's always one common thing that comes back, they got ripped off. Because it just takes a wise person or a wise head to level it out and keep them. I've watched 5 Heartbeats, you know what? They went with Big Red, but you see all these things. It's a common occurrence. All these guys that lost out, or they sign away their the IP, stuff like that, because they think the manager comes in, we can do this and that, and you sign that, and then later on they hear their music on the radio, and they don't get any royalties from it, I
think the great thing about looking, being in this position for us is that our kids, we hope that our kids trust us to have their best interest at heart, because at the end of the day, whenever they get paid, we really do try and get them what they're worth. When we're when Isaiah's dealing with promoters, and none of it comes to us. Like I always say to him, is there like $100 for you? Or he's like, I don't need it. Give it to the kids. It's their creativity. It's they're working for it. And so I think you're very right in the sense that it's important to have people that actually care for you and want to see you succeed, not necessarily us succeed. It's all about the artist and the artistry. So it is really important out there.
Because when you see those old promoters or those old managers, there's always a mentality of what am I going to get from it? I've got to get my cut. And I guess the upside of having having your manager as your father and someone who genuinely cares for you, wants the best for you. I don't see any other. It's a fail-proof plan to me.
I'm not sure. I don't know how it works, the industry, but when you approach a promoter's promoting the events, a concert with multiple acts. Do each act know what each act is going to get? Or is it a little secret?
It's a bit of a secret,
I know, but it benefits the artist. Because then they can structure their negotiations around, is that what everyone's getting paid? Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
So
well, that's the going rate. Well,
and the good thing they don't understand is that artists talk. They talk, and then it really doesn't carry the integrity of the promoter. When the artists talk and find out that one is getting but
so I get there's gonna be tiers, like you're gonna get the headline act, so obviously they're gonna get a little bit more than anyone else, but then there should be structured and everybody should know, be transparent, and then so it'll be easy for the managers, easy for the promoters, easy for that
you could always communication. You could just tell straight away that with Truce, there's 3 of them. And it's always going to be harder because there's 3 of them to pay. So they have to split their performance fee in 3. So, but they're not about the money. They're just about performing. So I said to them, if you guys were about to do your individual thing, you'd probably get more money. But I said, oh no, it's about us three because, you know, one of them is the rapper, the other guy does verse, the other one. So they all blend, they complement each other. So, and from a promoter's point of view, it's probably going to be, do I go with JMs where I can just pay him the one fee, or do I go with the Truce and pay him a bit more? But there's three of them, 3 airfares, and so it's probably easier to go with the single guy, you know, the one. But yeah, you're right. The artists and that, they talk.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, well, what I said might be unorthodox, but it makes sense to me. Like, to make things go smooth with the dealings, and I don't know. I'm just
because the one thing, and I guess the other thing about some artists and that there's a lot of egos involved. So you know sometimes if you find out someone's getting paid a bit more,
you're gonna get hurt. Totally.
So you know
it's natural.
That's the danger of and you know being quite transparent about how much. If you've got a big ego, you don't want to hear that. You know. What? I'm after you, and you're getting paid more than me. But that's why you should have a good manager, right?
Yeah. So we never tell them, you know what others pay, but with our boys, they're boys with a lot of the artists, like Victor JC4.
Wayno,
they're all boys, so they probably talk amongst themselves. Oh yeah, I'm getting this. But I think from a promoter's point of view, you probably want to tell them don't share this information. And some promoters do have that in their contracts. Yeah, so all the promoters are different.
Because they probably got that.
They're saying, hey, you're not supposed to tell anyone. Keep it that way. But then
so they don't have to deal with that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some promoters don't have any contracts, so they're all different, man. Promoters, good ones and bad ones.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about your genre of music? Because in New Zealand, because I know New Zealand hip hop has been well documented over the years. Yeah. Scribe and everyone else, before Scribe and after Scribe. But with R&B and with island reggae as well, like how is that doing in terms of the genre hierarchy, if you like, in New Zealand?
R&B is quite hard, because it's not our go-to genre, you know, with the reggae and so what we're finding with the boys is that they really have to push through with their music, but it's picking up a lot of interest, you know, what they're putting out, you know, people are listening, but what we're finding is they do tend to come back, you know, even with the Wayno feature, you know, that wasn't R&B, so they experiment a lot with what they're doing, and I think it's because they're at that place where they're quite comfortable with each other and to experiment, but I think R&B is definitely hard. It's not an easy genre to kind of push and promote, you know, because
do you think there's a bit of a resurgence in R&B and mainstream? Because if you listen to Bruno Mars's latest song, you know, and Bruno Mars he's owned the last 3 or 4 years, and that music hasn't been that typical music that was before that. You know, you had the Nicki Minaj kind of thing and all that, and then Bruno Mars, I think the appeal that he had was there was an 80s kind of vibe. You know, there was that kind of R&B and and once the youth kind of got into it, there's still a gap in New Zealand that I know that your boys can fill.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, because he's brought that back into mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, because R&B kind of like, let's be honest, we're missing for a couple of years here. Hey, there was no guys coming through with it. They're all trying to sound.
Well, I think it changed R&B in the States because you've got what's the HER her and
Daniel Caesar and all those kind of guys.
Those kind of guys. So they're sort of like the new R&B.
That's new, definitely the new, the new sound. But there's stuff they're really into, like Chris Brown and you know that stuff, and because they're dancers as well. You know, they love their music, and our boys Ezekiel and Isaiah they love to dance as well. And it's like, okay, where did that come from? But
like even hip hop's changing too, eh? Like our boys are really into the likes of Amigos, and when I see their stuff, it's not really hip hop. It's kind of like a mixture of hip hop and it's a weird.
And then they're into the African beats as well.
Yeah,
that's
you know?
anything too, eh?
So like
I saw that
they're
video,
really
Jungle Book.
experimenting,
Jungle Book,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, well, you know, what is it? Is it R&B or is it, you know, the? So you know, when we say they're experimenting, they certainly do.
Yeah,
You know?
it's funny. I saw the Jungle Book song, and that was like I was thinking African.
Yeah.
I followed the song. I heard the sound with African Queen.
Yeah.
And then I thought about DJ 651 because he bring out that throat song music.
Yeah.
So like
right.
African mixed in with African beats with Pacific Island.
That's going strong,
reggae.
eh? It's almost
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
over island reggae, eh?
Yeah.
African.
Well, if you go to all the, I've heard, the I just see them on the Facebook lives. But you know, the clubs that 651, we asked him when he was here, and that's the new thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's that sound is what the youth or the it's a dance scene now. You know, back in the days, everyone was trying to do the Running Man and semi-twerking, I guess.
The experimenting the boys do, that's cool because
Do you think?
yeah, it is because
Oh, it just shows how rounded they are.
it does, but then you never know because it might come out a new sound will come out of it.
that's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think right now everyone is experimenting with the African stuff and then for Photon and you never know what's going to come out of it. I mean, there's Pacific Island influence in the Black African American music, you know, which started everything, right?
Yeah.
You throw in some Pacific Island flavor to that.
It's a totally different
You try to get
sound,
something new, like try to get a new sound out of it.
That's like we've got a couple of like Richard Parker. Are we allowed to say that? He talked to us about Isaiah jumping on Kid 99 jumping on one of his new tracks, and he's
No, creating a new track.
creating a new track.
Yeah, he wants to come away from what he's doing now.
And so and that's that new sound that you're talking about, you know.
Yeah.
So he hit up our son about doing it. I have followed up with him, and he said, he's still trying to get that vibe for it. I was like, okay, just
But it's really interesting because
communicate with him as much as
the
you can.
first two songs that they did was the Samoan song. What was that?
Manuel Vaveo.
Manuel Vaveo. That was
With
the first
JMs.
song that they did with JM's Ezekiel, and the first song that Isaiah put out, and that to date is the top song for us.
It's getting close to 2 million. It's like
And it's like out of all their music that they put out, that the two language songs, the two Samoan songs that they did at the very
Right up
start
there.
are the ones that are right at the top of our stats.
So it just shows that our people are still enjoying that genre, right?
Yeah.
And so we're in talks. Well, we're always talking to the boys. We need more of those.
Yeah.
They're so moved on from that. It's like it's hard for them to sort of go back to it. Eh? But I said, look at it from statistics. If people are watching that more than anything else, you'd want to be making more of those.
This is where it's at. eh?
That's where it's
at.
at.
Making covers and old covers.
Yeah. Because I think that's why Wayno does really well, you know, because his stuff is all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, our boys have kind of really moved on to moved away from it, and I think I don't know if it's a good thing, but Isaiah's our producer, our music producer, and it's only him. And so whenever anyone has a song or an idea, they go to him. And he decides whether it's good enough to go out, you know?
Yeah.
And he's the one he's like the beat maker.
Yeah.
So when all the true songs and everything, he'll start the beat and then the boys jump in the studio and they finish the song. But every song, it really comes down to Kid 99, whether that song goes out or not.
So there's
Well,
there's no balance, right?
Quality control's pretty strict.
That's right. And that's the problem we have with him is he's an artist / producer.
Yeah,
So of course he's always going to be trying to figure out true songs.
Yeah.
So Truth has got enough of 3 albums in there. You know?
He's got so much music
Or
at
other
the
artists are
moment.
like, oh, Dad, man, can you talk to Isaiah?
Yeah.
You know, it's been ages now. You know, especially Zephaniah, he's only 12. He's like, Dad, I haven't released a song over a year. What's going on? And I talked to Isaiah, and he's like, I just don't know what to produce for him. You know, he's 12 years old. I don't want to be talking about love and all that when he's only 12. You know, I've got to try and find a a kiddie song for him. So yeah, it's just those are the sort of internal battles we have.
You know, but that's pretty. It's cool that like he must have a standard that he wants it at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because you hear about all the greats. You hear about all these great producers like Kanye, Quincy Jones, and all the songs that they've left on the cutting floor because they've like Michael Jackson. Like that last album he came with, they remixed. And there's are songs that he didn't feel were up to par. And when they put him out, man, the song is bad.
Yes.
But he couldn't find a place on any of his albums because
yes.
he's such a high.
Yeah.
You want only the best. Because remember back in the days when we used to get albums, and if you got an album, you listened from side A to side B, and every song is money. Yeah. And then you get all these other albums now. And one song, and about 10 of the rest are just duds because they come off those kind of things.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's the standard that, great name too, Isaiah's trying to put it. Because if you look at all those producers, you hear about, when you hear about Kanye and you hear about all the, like I said, Quincy Jones and all the great producers.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah, Dr. Dre, there's songs that they'll give, that they haven't quite made it would probably make it big for someone else, but because you're building, you want it to be at such a high level, That's
probably where it's at with him, mate. But I would say that there is so much music, like they've got so much music, but he just won't, he'll either finish it, he won't finish it, or he'll start it, and then we all go, wow, that's really cool, son. And he's like, bench it, and then there's another one coming through, and there's another, and we're like, far out, and because I do all the paperwork and all the funding stuff, so I'm like, I need a song. Hurry up! You need to give me a completed song. I need a song for Sapphire. I need a song for Zephaniah. He's like, and like he'll just pick off the bench for for Truce. But when it comes to the others, it's I need to finish that one. I'm not feeling that one, Mum. I'm like, far out. So we threaten him all the time. We're gonna hire a new producer.
He's a talent, eh? In his beats, man. I listened to that the one I sent you, Don't Mess With My Man remix.
Oh yeah.
Man, I was thinking, damn, he can do that from scratch. Like,
man.
I couldn't believe it. Like, it's so the quality. I mentioned the quality before, and I think him matched up with your cousin Fatu with the videos. Oh, it just suits everything about it. With the style of the video clips. The nighttime with the Sky City at the back and the lights and man, the camera angle. Oh man, it's well done. It's really well done.
Heard them talk about a video in a long time because they've run out of ideas, If you go to our YouTube page, Dunamis Music New Zealand, you'd see probably about 30 plus videos, and I said to them, okay, so now we need to just relax a bit with our videos. Let's write the bangers and we'll all decide on what, and take the good ones now, not just make a video for the sake of it. And I think Fata will appreciate too, because I'm sure he's like, okay, what do we do now then? So we've done the beach, we've done the city. We've done, what else?
That's probably the long yards, in terms of us sitting together and talking about videos, And then the other thing is, like, if they want, like girls and dancers, like the dancers they got on Jungle Book were like dancers the day before. It was like, are you guys available? But when I look at the video, I think, that looks like we had planned it out for ages, And we laugh about it because we're like, well, who did the makeup? Who planned the makeup? Because it really did suit.
Yeah.
But a lot of the videos are just hit and miss, I know when Sapphire did her Dilemma, which was the funding one, and it took us ages. We had planned it for months. We did so much work in getting that together, and when the video came out, it was like, oh my gosh, that's the worst video ever. Sam's like, oh, I hate that video, I wish we could take it down. But and videos that we just do instantaneously work really well, and then those that we plan for ages just don't.
When you're talking about funding, what's the fund? Is this New Zealand On Air funding? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I know we were thinking. So we had he told us the story about him making a couple of music videos, and because they were New Zealand On Air, they brought in their own people, and they came up with these two different ideas, and he said
wasn't it the record label?
Well, the record label,
yeah, it was Universal Records.
But they had their ideas, and he was like, oh, well, we used other professionals, and blah blah, and he said they were mud, and he said he had this when he came out with Let's Ride, Let's Ride, and the one stipulation he put in is, I'm going to bring in my own director. I've got my own ideas, and this is how I want to do it. Just give me the money and I'll make it work. And everyone knows that video because it's so iconic. That kind of defines that hip hop period. There was that one video. And it kind of shows like, leave it to us. Or, when it comes with, sometimes when I feel like it comes with funding and that, you kind of feel like, did you feel like a bit more pressure to go, well, we've got to show them that we're doing this, or, we've done that kind of thing, or?
I think with the first time we got funding, it was a bit of pressure to, oh God, they've chosen us, we've got to produce something good. So I think that was with Truce's, what was that one again? Faded. When that came out with the mansion, which is our house, by the way, with the mansion and the tennis courts and everything, I think that was probably us trying to live up to that funding standard, that we thought needed to happen at the time. And then when it came to the second lot of funding, we were a little bit relaxed. Thinking, we've done this before, we can, do it again. And although we spent a lot more time in the planning and processing of the ideas and everything, it didn't actually work out the way the first one did, But I think you're right in terms of, otherwise you just run out of ideas. If they're going to control the funding and control, how they want it all to look, then you can only come up with so many ideas.
Right, yeah.
Whereas if you just give it to people, we're all going to come up with, different things. So I think it's great that they're giving the autonomy to us to create, although it's not that hard. It's not that easy. I mean, it's still very hard.
It's cool that, the funding, but the incentive for the funding, it's for you guys to create something and put it out there for New Zealanders to enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, you'd hope for the world to enjoy it. It's on a global platform, but...
Just on their perspective, like New Zealand funding, I mean...
Yeah, true way, and it's not easy. Oh my gosh, the forms and...
I was just thinking, because when you think about, just going for doing your passport or something like that, you've got to jump through all these hoops. I've got to get someone to sign the back of the photo, and then I've got to sign that. But because I know, because of all the red tape in it, because I have friends that go and apply, they work at, they have to deal with government agencies and that, and then they tell me the stuff that you have to
jump
so much
many hoops.
So much red tape, man.
So much. We're really blessed though, because they actually show on their website who they gave money to, and so we get funding of $10,000, but you've got to actually show that you can pay a percentage of that $10,000, so that they see that you're actually investing into your own product. So you've got to prove that you can. I think if they give you $10,000, then you've got to show that you can at least pay $2,000 towards, and then in the end you get like a lump sum of $8,000. But when we go through on the website and we see all the other people that got videos at the same time or got funding at the same time, a lot of them drew down a lot less than what we drew on. Like we used the whole amount. But a lot of people with their video clips didn't quite use, all of it. So I'm not sure why they don't. And maybe it's all that red tape that they have to go through. But yeah, I was, we were quite maybe just a little bit strategic with the way that we drew down on the money for the kids, because you want to use every cent.
That's right. That's available there.
Yeah,
and you've got to utilise,
absolutely,
I think there were some too that got the funding but couldn't produce it because we sort of follow up on their songs and they still haven't done anything.
Yeah.
So it could be a case where they got the money but didn't know what to do with it, how to put it together a video, how to market it, and all the requirements that that they asked for, I think they just couldn't do it.
Well,
So what a waste of funding.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that could have gone to someone else.
Because it goes back into the pool. If
Yeah,
you're
You
not
know,
gonna-
they use it.
Yeah,
So-
the other thing is because if you've been independent, you've done all your own videos by yourself,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you've got someone not watching over you, but you've got to answer. You've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
to prove that I've
Yeah.
done all of this. And I think a lot of people, they got the money, they're like, well, you need to
Yeah.
be accountable.
Yeah,
You need to
yeah.
show them that you've done them. Oh, I didn't know. I thought I was just
Oh.
the video.
That is so
I'm
true.
out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think our first funding lot, how many do you reckon emails back and forth you did?
Bro, I swear, we had it was probably
40?
close to 40, 50
Damn.
emails just back and forth. Because they don't actually send you anything until you meet every,
was hard work,
requirement. And it was hard work. And, we work full time, so it was like a real arduous process.
Yeah.
And so, but when we finally drew down on it, man, it was like so hard. It was really hard.
So I can understand why some of these guys couldn't produce it.
Yeah, because they won't actually give you anything unless you meet the requirements. So,
And there's a time frame too.
and
eh?
there's a certain time frame to meet.
So so if you don't do it in that system, do they just draw the money back and then just put it back
Yeah,
in
they
the pool?
put
They
it
don't
back in
even
the
give the
pool.
money out.
Oh.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to come up with in these receipts for everything, as you
Yeah.
mentioned. There,
Yeah. You've actually got to produce a plan. You've got to produce a video plan, who you're going to pay, what time you're going to pay, so the plan has to be done, and then you've got to send the plan through for them to approve the plan. So once that plan has been approved, then they go, okay, great, send us an invoice, we'll send you the money. Now, a lot of the times, if you don't get that plan approved, then you're not going to get anything. And so for us, the first time going through it, it was like, send the plan, no, go pay. And I think it was going, that consistency and just hanging in there. Whereas, I was not going to give up.
I was just praying for you. How do I supporting you?
Yeah.
And so I can so understand those independent, if you're independent and you're doing things on your own, it's going to be difficult, unless you actually have someone that's going to be in your corner, prepared to go through that with you, or someone, who's experienced, who's probably going to take half the money,
Yeah.
So
that's there's a thin line there.
hard out, yeah.
So would you guys apply for funding for each project individually, or is it like one big lump for
Yeah, so
a
at the
whole year's
moment,
worth of content or something?
yeah, when the kids say that they've got, music, and which they do all the time, we're really slow on the funding, It's like, what have you guys got? Oh, yeah. But the thing is, we have a pool where all their YouTube money comes into, or their New Zealand on music. Come on, music man, come into, and so whenever that stuff,
so royalties? Is it?
royalties, and radio plays. So when their money come in, it sits there, and so what we do then is say, right, this is what you've got. Go and make a video, or what do you want to use with this money, and then we try and support them as best we can. And then the funding is also what we pull on to do extra stuff, like videos, and funding's really good too, because it really helps get their music out there. Because if you're supported by New Zealand On Air, then you're going to get their music on radio, or more, the likelihood of getting it out there, because you've got funding is higher.
So what was your question?
But yeah, so sorry about it. But yeah, so that's where the funding kind of supports the kids. Whenever there's a project and we need it, then we draw on that. Otherwise, you hope that the money that they're making, they're generating, will support that as well.
How you said, if it's New Zealand On Air, there's a higher percentage of them coming on airplay. Because I always, one thing I noticed about New FM is that they play a lot of New Zealand music, New Zealand artists, artists from Hawaii and that.
Yeah.
So it's got, you know what kind of music you're expecting from it.
Yeah.
I used to always think, this was my boss idea, but I thought, New FM must just take these guys off YouTube, and because they probably don't, they're not assigned to any record labels, and because they're independent, they have the right to play these songs because they don't have to pay any royalties. But now that it was just said that, I've realised, actually, no, because they're in New Zealand, they must draw on a lot of New Zealand on air funding because they're playing a lot of New Zealand artists. Is that where you'd say they make their money from?
Yeah, I think of the radio, New Zealand. So what was it? No. I forgot what they're called. Something New Zealand music. I forgot what they're called. And I think they pay out on the royalties. So every time our song's played on radio, I think they're the ones that pay us. I'll go back to your question because my wife didn't actually answer it properly. There is in funding. You could apply for a EP. So there's different types of funding. A single. And if you want, you can apply for an EP and they'll fund it. And I think it was last time I checked, it was about 30K.
Yeah, it's anything up to 8 to 30,000, and you only need like 2 to 3 songs for an EP, and that's what they call like a music project. But there's also like if you've got a kiddie song, that's all mainstream. It's really hard for us polys to get it. So the funding we've been fortunate to get is the new initiative they brought in a couple of years ago called Pacifica.
Nice
funding. Yeah. So thanks to the guys that sort of push for that. I know Nicole Rex was one of them. So that was available and we've been fortunate to get that. But when you're talking mainstream funding, to be upfront, mainly the Palangis get all that, a couple of famous, big names in Polynesians that will get it. Yeah. Kings, he'll get mainstream.
Well, obviously they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have created a Pacifica section.
Yeah. So maybe. Now with the Pacifica funding, we're getting.
I guess that's just acknowledging that the Pacific Sound is huge.
Yeah, man.
Because if you listen to even my FM, because my FM is the most mainstream hip hop R&B.
That's right.
And when you hear Pacifica music on them, then there's a market for it.
Yeah. Like my FM is really so hard to get onto. We've been fortunate that True's got a song on there, Faded, but that wasn't easy because my FM, to be honest, between us, it's all about making money. So they'd rather play music from overseas that most people enjoy, and they're going to get money for it rather than playing the locals. That's what I love about New FM is they're all about the local music, New Zealand music, and that's why they play a lot of it. I mean, I'm not saying that my FM don't play it, but most of the music you won't hear is, majority of it is from overseas, not our own. But that's because, they have to, that's all they say.
Yeah, well, that talks, they always say. And I know we had Nixon on, this was early on our podcast, and he was saying how there was he was trying to change the whole, because he was the station manager of my end, and so he was trying to implement new procedures, or just having more Pacifica content. Because it was funny because he was telling us how it usually works for him. Because so he'll have record reps, company reps, and they'll come and they'll have a meeting there midday, and then they'll go, okay, this is what we've got. What do you think? Is this going to make your...
Yeah.
And I guess the problem with independent labels is that they don't have a record label pushing them.
That's right.
They're going to come, if you do this, we've got this, we're backing them. So, So when he told us that, I was like, that's just like anything. Politics as well.
It is, It's bureaucracy, because I think for us, although we try, we may have certain relationships, but you can't, you can't beat bureaucracy because it's totally different. Because when we sent through Faded, because it went through New Zealand on air, they picked it up. And I think it's because it was New Zealand on air. And then it made the charts, it was really high up in their rotation charts. But then every other song we've sent out, after that is not...
and that wasn't New Zealand on air funded?
Even the New Zealand on air funding music. And we get the responses back like, this, mean song, send us the visuals. And we do that, and then we never hear anything back. So you can tell that it's not... that there's a little bit more to it than just them liking, music and getting it on there, obviously.
There's someone making calls on it,
Yeah.
Because this guy that I've been sending it to, Yeah, I've sent him a lot of songs, and we only got one on there, you know.
Yeah.
But
Whereas New FM's a little bit different, eh? They
New FM will play everything we send them.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
they're
so
cool
cool.
like that, eh?
Yeah.
They're
So
cool
cool,
like that.
you know, because it's,
Yeah,
for me, it just says New FM is New FM. It's
Yeah.
it's
about the people,
you
eh?
know?
it's about
Yeah.
ground roots,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah,
Like they're really
exactly.
supportive
Yeah,
of,
no, we
of
do.
us. Yeah.
we love New FM.
Yeah. I better start listening to them at work now. I think the breather's going to get up.
Yeah, that's cool.
But with radio stations overseas, Australia, you were saying that had they come to you?
Yeah, so we
bit
had
more
one.
enthusiastic,
Yeah,
I guess.
I can't. It was a cousin that actually sent me a recording on his phone. He was just driving to work and he heard the boys' song on it, and he was just buzzing out that a mainstream Sydney radio station was actually playing the boys' music. His nephew's in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact radio station, but it was there. The same with in Hawaii. We've got a guy that used to work for New FM that's over there now. And I send him a lot of our stuff, DJ Green, and he plays a lot of it over in Hawaii as well. Don't ask me what they're called, the radio stations are called, but they are being played there, and we see evidence of that from the purchasers, because they wouldn't be purchasing the songs if they didn't hear it on the radio, right? And like Clera was saying, New Zealand is still up there, but now we're finding that Hawaii, you know, the states are actually starting to, our sales there are passing New Zealand now. Which is, I find it quite interesting. So
Hawaii it's pretty crazy, Hawaii though.
Yeah.
I remember he came back and he was telling me, you telling me about Catch a Fire and these bands. Like, you know, Catch a Fire.
Massive there, eh?
You know, here, you know, when you get to those concerts, those big, what's it,
One Love? One Love?
Yeah, One Love. And they're like early, you know, they're midday. And
Yeah.
over in Hawaii, they're huge.
That's
you
massive,
know?
yeah.
It's funny, because what was that other band? The song that, was it Maoli or...
Maoli, yeah.
Maoli,
yeah.
Maoli.
And they were huge over there, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's funny how what's popular or what they really pick up over there, they hold on to it.
But they're really into the island reggae.
Yeah.
And that's number one over there. I mean,
It
every
is
radio
number
station
one.
plays
Yeah. That's why we got one artist that we're trying to get him to focus on that, eh? Rainbow.
Yeah.
Do the island reggae, son.
Yeah.
There's a big market for it, you know.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of snaps from family overseas as well. You know, whenever the songs are playing on the radio, it's like, you know, they send it through to us. It's like,
Samoa,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Shout
Magic
out to
FM, they stopped you at Pacifica.
Yeah. The owner, she's over here for, I don't know what, for, she saw my t-shirt I wore, one like this one. Because, I just said to her, thanks for playing our music.
On Samoa?
And my cousins are there always, hey, cuz, look at this, look at this. And Faded and all the songs that we play, they're all playing it over there. So it's cool, man. It's getting out there, eh? But that's the kind of like pathway I was told that I think Sammy J. Aranda did was New Zealand, then I went to Pango, Samoa, Pango, Hawaii, and then the mainland. That's that pathway.
Wow, really?
That they say stay on, and eventually you'll get to the States. Yeah. But I think they've gone right across and back again. They're back here, I hear. Yeah.
Well, currently,
Good.
no.
No, I was just thinking the other day about this is funny. You know, we were talking about the new sound, trying to find a new Pacific Island sound.
Yeah.
I was thinking about NWA.
Yeah.
In America, and you know, those guys, just school kids, liked hip hop. They had their own style. Went out there and did it. Put their area on the map. Compton brought out the gangster rap, and it's heard all around the world, and everybody knows NWA. I mean, from just a bunch of kids, just loving music and creating a new sound. So I was thinking, man, when I first saw the boys on YouTube, man, is this gonna be the new? Is this gonna be the same sort of thing? This is, man, when is Pacific Island's gonna come and bring out their new sound? That's gonna
read the comments on those videos. A lot of them are saying that.
Yeah.
These guys are the most underrated. Yeah, why aren't they massive yet? And these are people from a lot of it from overseas. They said, man, why aren't they blowing up already? These guys are bringing a sound that, you know, we haven't heard for a long time, you know. And
In
you're
New Zealand.
In fact, when you mentioned Quincy Jones, I heard it from, but way back, he said to somebody that told me that the moment Polynesian discovered their own sound, game over. So
Jones.
Quincy Jones, man, he said that. I can't remember who he said it to, but it got around, and I remember getting told it. I was like, okay, so what is that sound that we're looking for?
Well, that's it, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, because reggae is not really our sound, eh?
Yeah,
You know, that's more Jamaica and all that. That's not really, but we're kind of like overtaking it, eh?
Yeah.
But, so I'm thinking it's not that. Yeah, I don't know.
No, but that's so true, because if you look at our old, we're talking about Tiama'a and Benino Tufau and that. All that, we like things about Samoa, we love to adapt other people's music. So if you listen to Tiama'a, there's country aspects to these songs, and then we've got RnB, and you've got rock. If you listen to a Tiama'a album, you've got every kind of genre on there. And that's like us still trying to, and I think as Samoans, we're still trying to find our sound. That's it, mate. I think that's so true about what Quincy Jones. He said it. But that's so true, because I still think we have yet to find our sound, or really define what is our sound. Because we do reggae. Someone's we do reggae. We do RnB. We take aspects, different aspects in that. Like we haven't.
Because isn't there like a polyfunk genre, or
Adija.
Well,
see, that's
I could say that that's a definitive island sound day.
Yeah.
So
ukulele and
that's it. So we've still got I think, hopefully, it comes out of.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes out before we But yeah.
No, man. So what's with. Now that the bubble's open, now that Jacinda and Scotty are on the same page, it took them a while, but what's the plan for the next, coming up for you guys for the next month or year? Or?
I think from, because we're a label, we kind of depend too much on promoters to do the shows. So I guess for us, it's just waiting for a promoter to say, ring me and, hey, I've got a show I want to plan for Brisbane or Sydney, wherever. And then we'll sort of get prepared for it. We have been told to do our own shows and sort of be the middleman, the promoter. But there's a lot of work in putting a show together. So I'd rather just think, I can't be bothered putting on a show. I'll just let them do what they do and invite us. And if the money's right and the boys want to travel, and I always put it back to them. This is what they're offering. Airfares, accommodation. Do you want to do it? Of course the boys are going to do it. They love travelling. They love leaving their ladies. No, I mean, they love leaving the country, to go and have fun over there. So in terms of that, but for us as a label, as a homegrown label, it's just keep putting out music. Just keep getting busy and just hoping that one banger will set them up. That's our hope anyway, that they do that one banger like Mr. What's his name? 685. Josh. He won the lotto the other week. Made a lot of money,
Yeah.
No, I'd never hear of him.
Yeah.
It was like, where's he gone? Is he already retired? My sister moved into Flatbush. She reckons he saw him there and just brought his mum a house over in the new part of Flatbush. Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
That's all it takes,
man.
I mean, not all it takes. I mean, it does take talent, but it just makes being exposed. Yeah. And it was from a TikTok song,
Yeah.
From TikTok.
That's right.
Yeah.
You just never know, man. It's just that one song that could set you up for life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys think of doing collaborations with hip hop artists? Because I remember in the 90s there was a lot of.
You're a hip hop man, eh?
I'm both.
Yeah.
But I remember in the 90s there was a lot of hip hop going on with the R&B singer singing the chorus.
Always.
And they always get that guy to try to boost the rap artist.
That's it.
So I don't know, might see Truce come in with a poetic song or something like that.
Yeah.
They do, because they know a lot of artists, they're in the same circle. So they always talk about collaborating. I mean, that's how Wayno and Truce got their song, and then Victor and Truce. And
James.
And then James. So, there's certainly that. But it's like, it goes that way, the collaboration, because you're right. You want them to collaborate with someone, way above them to really, push their music, take it to another sphere, if anything. But it's really hard too when they're on performances, on live gigs, performing with your features, because sometimes they can't always be there, and so you miss out on performing that song that could be really popular because you can't be at the same show.
But without naming any names, we have reached out, but we're not big enough for them to say yes.
Oh.
Yeah, believe it or not, I won't name any names, but if they're watching this, they know who they are. I'll come out and say, hey, the boys want to feature with you, and but I'm not really doing features at the moment. Okay, yeah. Some of them you probably know really well. But yeah, so we have tried to reach out to other people to collab, but we're still climbing, I guess.
Yeah.
So for them, they probably want someone bigger for them to reach up to pull them up. We're trying to come up too as well. Can you help us up, bro?
Yeah.
But music's gets like that sometimes. It's always about
so you want to, because at the moment it's a little bit more lateral. You want more vertical.
Whereas with Wayno and Victor, like Clara was saying, they're all in the same circle.
Yeah.
We've done so many gigs with them. They're like real good friends. So it's nothing if, Wayno's the keen. Yeah, man, let's do it. Victor, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, but other ones where we think, they will say, oh, no. And then you go and see them collab with other people. I thought you were too busy for a collab. Yeah. No, it wasn't that you were too busy. It was we were nobodies.
But we're still young, eh? I mean, we've only been doing this for 3 years, really. Right. So I think the kids are still young and still trying to find their space in all of this. So I guess, for those people, they could probably see us as little whippies, trying to reach up too soon. Not right now, maybe. But I think to answer your question in terms of where to now, for us it's definitely, continuing with the music because it's about being sustainable. It's about, staying in the game as long as you can and growing, and not so much, we don't want to be those one-hit wonders. We want to be around. Well, we want the kids to be around and their music to be around to last a little bit longer. But I think for us in terms of background stuff, is really promoting their stuff and getting their stuff into mainstream. I know we're pushing projects through funding. We want to get, a couple of EPs sorted. We've got new music coming from all the kids coming through. And then, of course, we want to, explore some travelling for them to see how far and just to see, what the buzz is over there to get them over to Brisbane and see how what the interest is like. Yeah.
I can relate to the sustainability thing because, with this podcast that we do, it's so awesome to get paid for doing this full time. Because this is what we love to do and this is what you guys love to do. I mean, doing what you love to do every day should be the goal for everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
No matter, because, you can go to university, you can get a degree, you can get the job you want to do, but are you really going to love for the rest of your life?
Yeah, that's right.
You're talking about 40 years of your life working at that job. Are you sure that in 20 years time, half that time you're gonna still love it? Or you want to do something you love every single day and not regret a single day?
Awesome, bro.
I mean, that is something that I think that's what I think about. Yeah, and it's cool that you guys are doing that for your kids. Something that they love to do, and you can see it in the videos. I mean, you watch the video clips, and you see them doing their performances, dancing, singing, looking all serious, like 112 and all that. But man, I'm looking at them, man, these guys are having fun, man. These guys are really enjoying it.
They certainly do it at our expense, but they do. Oh, cool.
Well, that's been awesome, guys.
Thank you.
I always say this after every podcast. I go, man, I learned something. I love learning, but I've learned so much from the start, from the meaning of,
Pass.
Yeah. Now, I've been my first PI. No MP at the end. But man, and you know, just your stories. And now I know there's a school out South Auckland. I can't wait for people to listen to this podcast and have their and just be inspired.
It's a long one.
Yeah. This is our normal. This is normal.
Really? Wow.
I record this 3 hours 30.
Whoa.
This is 2 hours 40.
Wow.
3 hours 30. There's a lot of yeah, this might be the early day stuff, but you know, because we love what we do, you know, we've just gone a bit more like we know what to stuff that we really want to learn.
Some structure,
So, but no, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us come through.
I've been inspired, and I really know now that I need to kokongi my bills as well. Like, I really don't want to visit from you. You know, the only time we catch up is here on this podcast, or me coming to watch the boys and your daughter sing. Like, if you ever come to my house, don't have a camera behind you.
Keep driving. Just keep driving. But funny you mentioned that because I have had that.
He's had a lot of those.
It's like, cuz,
What do you do then? What do you have to do then?
I try and not get
a conflict of interest away.
So I always just pass it on to the finance company and tell them to issue it out to another repo guy, and they go, why? Oh, that's my uncle.
Did he get the heads up?
Yeah, that's my wife's uncle.
It's a really long drive next to my wedding.
And sometimes it's unavoidable. Like he turns up to the door and they turn around and
they changed their names.
It's an old friend.
Okay. What the hell? Uncle, and look at the fingers, a different name. Oh, that's my other name.
Yeah, I've seen some of the tricks I've seen is that, like, if they have if their names in Samoan, they do it to the English, to the Palangi meaning. I'm like, is it that simple?
Yeah,
man. I'm still paying off my credit card from when I was 18. These people, man, I love it.
Oh, awesome.
But the funny thing is, when we're out, he gets recognised as the repo man.
Oh, that must be tough. I was just thinking that,
And we could be in the most, we could be in church, or we could be at a wedding, and we're sitting next to the guy that he just repo.
And they're like, look at me, like,
it's either that or they give me the evil, like, I just finished work. I had to walk to work the next day. You took my car, man.
But for the record, I'm not that bad. I actually help out people a lot. Yeah. It's that whole, and it was like that in the police. You know, if you pulled someone over and they had attitude, well, the more attitude they gave me, the more I would be writing tickets.
Yeah.
You know, and I had that a lot with other people. You know, especially people not the same race as me, and they didn't like it. You know, they used to racist remarks. You know, and I just go, oh, okay, ticket for a dirty number plate. You know, you never give a ticket for a number plate. Eh?
Yeah.
But you know, they go, boy, you're gonna do this. Oh, you like your job, boy. You do this. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Keep thinking. With customers and clients that I deal with, it's the same. It's like, how can I help you sort this out? Because a lot of the times, finance companies don't want the car. Because what are they going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to cost them more money to try and sell it and all that. So they'd rather try and get the customer to make some payment.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, oh, yeah, I've helped that family out. So it's usually if I take a car, it's because they don't want to help themselves.
Yeah.
They're saying, you know what, I don't even want your car. And the fact you came on here, you get F off, take your effing car.
Yeah.
And that's when I take it. But most of the time, people just say, please,
Swami?
Yeah. And I went, yeah. I can help you. Let's do it. Yeah.
I guess that's the way you approach the situation.
Yeah, always. Plus, I'm nearly 50. I can't find anymore. You see some of these guys, in their 20s, they look like boxers. No, when they start showing those signs, I just walk away.
Yeah.
The video, the little, you know.
Yeah.
It's not worth going down for $200, Oh no, keep the car, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be sensible and use your head. You got to live another day, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you've got to
go home to the wife and the kids, mate.
You've got to watch the profits of the record label come in.
Yeah, man. Hopefully one day that will happen, eh?
Just a matter of time, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no matter of time. Let's hope, eh? Let's pray.
Yeah, let's pray for that,
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Thank you so
guys.
much.
Yeah, no worries.
Sure, guys.